Chapter 387. Chin Chu took the elevator down to the second floor with the three of them. Inside the Clivier ballroom on the second floor. The moment the door was pushed open, Huamin felt like the flashing lights were too bright. She couldn't even open her eyes. President Qin. Many people came over to greet him. The ballroom was about 300 to 400 square meters, and it was decorated in a Western-style setting. There were also a lot of people. President Qin, you're here. It's almost time, the hotel's general manager walked up and said carefully. Chin Chu nodded, then turned to Huamin and said, "Give me a second." "Okay." Then, Chin Chu walked onto the stage under the guidance of the hotel's general manager. "Next, let's welcome our company's CEO, Mr. Chin Chu, to give a speech." Then, thunderous applause followed. "Do you feel like your man has a halo on his head right now?" Zhu Lingling asked with a smile. "Do you think he's Cupid, with a halo on his head?" Huamin couldn't help but laugh. At this time, Huamin, Gao Ran, and Zhu Lingling stood below the stage and watched Chin Chu, who had a halo on his head, give a speech. At the beginning of his speech, Chin Chu said, "Ever since I took over the resort, I discovered that the economy here is poor due to the lack of transportation. Many children in the mountainous areas don't even finish primary school. I was deeply moved by this. My wife is a medical worker, and she has a kind and sincere heart. I believe that, like me, she is willing to help those in need. So today, I'm announcing the creation of the Mion Angel Children's Foundation in my wife's name. Our goal is to help the children around Yunding Mountain rebuild their school. Thank you everyone." After Chin Chu finished speaking, thunderous applause followed. Meanwhile, Huamin's eyes were already glistening with tears. She was truly shocked by Chin Chu's secrecy. "Mion Angel Children's Foundation, oh my, your husband loves you so much." Zhu Lingling felt touched. Huamin bit her lip and didn't say anything, until Chin Chu walked down from the stage. Their eyes met, and that was more than 1,000 words. "Beautiful Mrs. Qin, may I invite you for a dance?" Chin Chu stretched out his hand in a gentlemanly gesture. With tears in her eyes, Huamin offered her fair little hand and the two of them walked onto the dance floor in each other's arms. She danced the first waltz of the banquet to the music. When it came to the waltz, Huamin didn't know how to do it, nor did he have the spare money to learn it. He only learned it when he was in school. The two of them went skating together. Chin Chu taught her how to dance the waltz on the ice as he skated with her. After 7 years, Huamin was still dancing so well. Even Zhu Lingling was surprised. "Oh my God, when did this lady learn how to waltz? Even her steps are so standard." Gao Ran gave Chin Chu a thumbs up and complimented, "Chin Chu looks like he doesn't talk much. I didn't expect him to be such a flirt." The banquet was quite lively. Most of the guests were local officials and leaders, and many local entrepreneurs were also invited. It was very lively. Huamin had never been so high-profile before. Luckily, this was Yunding Mountain, not Sea City. He believed that it wouldn't be published in the newspapers, and his mother definitely wouldn't find out. After fooling around for a while, the four of them left the scene together. They ran to the lawn outside the hotel to get some fresh air. The night sky was always so bright. Looking at the stars from this latitude was a unique experience. Suddenly, a shooting star flashed by. "Look, it's a shooting star." Zhu Lingling immediately closed her eyes and made a wish. Then, Huamin and Gao Ran both closed their eyes and pretended to make a wish. "Chin Chu, why didn't you allow it?" Gao Ran opened his eyes after making his wish and saw Chin Chu still standing there like a fool. "My wish came true 4 months ago," Chin Chu said as he looked gently at Huamin's side profile. Chapter 388. After Huamin heard this, he slowly opened his eyes and looked into Chin Chu's eyes with deep affection. "Oh my God, here they go again, they're torturing us again. Venomous tongueling, let's get away from them." Gao Ran grabbed Zhu Lingling's hand and stepped back to give Chin Chu and Huamin some space. "Hey, let go of me, don't touch me, stupid cop." Zhu Lingling obviously hadn't finished making her wish, so she was obviously unhappy when Gao Ran pulled her away. "What did you wish for?" Chin Chu walked over and put one arm around Huamin's shoulder. "It's a secret. Tell me, maybe I can help you make it happen. If it's easy to make, It's not a wish. Huimin smiled mysteriously. Okay. Honey, whatever you say is right. The four of them had a lot of fun in the hotel garden. The street lights in front of the hotel were very unique. Just like a rainbow, it gave people a breathtaking feeling. The 7 colors were constantly changing. The atmosphere today is so good, why don't the four of us play a game? Zhu Lingling suggested. Sure, how do we play? Huimin asked with a smile. Let's play table tennis. Whoever says something wrong will have to jump into the fountain. Do you dare? Gao Ran pointed at the pool that was less than half a meter deep in front of them and said excitedly. No problem. Qin Chu nodded. I agree. Huimin nodded. I don't care, let's play, who's scared? Zhu Lingling raised her chin and expressed her dissatisfaction. Then let's start with me. Gao Ran immediately said a word. Ping. Qin Chu, ping. Huimin, ball. Zhu Lingling, ball. Big sister, you should say ping. I'm the one who said ping. Huimin looked at Zhu Lingling helplessly. He knew that every time they played word games, Zhu Lingling was the slowest to react among the four of them. 7 years ago, it was the same, and 7 years later, it was still the same. I'm sorry. This time doesn't count. Let's do it again. Zhu Lingling obviously wanted to act shamelessly. That's not very nice of you. Big sis, you should jump into the pool. Otherwise, it won't be hard to convince the crowd, Huimin said deliberately. That's right. If everyone says that this round doesn't count, then what's the point? Qin Chu followed suit. You two are really adding insult to injury. Zhu Lingling gritted her teeth in anger. Just as she grabbed her evening gown and was about to jump into the pool, she suddenly heard Gao Ran say, Wait, I'll jump for you. Your gown is too inconvenient. If you accidentally fall in and drown, then something bad will happen. Fuck you, don't you know how to talk? You're the one who drowns. Zhu Lingling was so angry that she rolled her eyes. At this moment, Gao Ran proudly jumped into the pool with a splash, creating a huge splash. Huimin immediately clapped and shouted, What a real man. Of course. I didn't learn anything else in the police academy. I only learned how to torture myself, Gao Ran replied as he wiped the water off his face. To be honest, the moment Gao Ran jumped into the pool, Zhu Lingling was quite touched. Although it was just a game, she was still surprised to see him like this. You saved the damsel in distress. I'll give you a 9 out of 10. I don't want you to get too proud of yourself, Qin Chu said as he looked at Gao Ran. The four of them played 4 rounds. Zhu Lingling lost 3 rounds. Luckily, Gao Ran helped her, so Gao Ran became a drowned rat. After the four of them finished playing and were walking back to their hotel rooms, Huimin suddenly whispered into Qin Chu's ear, Mr. Qin, I really want to know, how many rooms did you book for them today? Why don't you guess? Qin Chu slowly smiled. Chapter 389. I'm guessing, it's 1, but I'm sure you gave them 2. Huimin knew Mr. Qin well. He wasn't a playful person, so he definitely wouldn't prepare a room for Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling. Qin Chu lovingly pinched Huimin's nose. You're smart. You know me that well. Of course. Huimin said proudly. She had known Qin Chu for a long time. They had been in love since they were teenagers, so she could roughly guess what he was thinking. Yes, there are 2 rooms, but, at this point, Qin Chu wanted to say something but hesitated. But what? Huimin was confused. Was there something fishy going on? Nothing, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. Qin Chu's lips curled up slightly. Zhu Lingling and Gao Ran were both on the same floor, the top floor of the 18th floor. Qin Chu was really generous. When Zhu Lingling returned to her room, she screamed. Then, Gao Ran heard the noise from next door and immediately went to check. Only then did he realize that the lights in Zhu Lingling's room were broken, and none of them were on. He called the front desk, and the receptionist said that they would get an electrician to fix it. However, it was too late, so the electrician went back to the village to sleep. It would take him a while to get here by bike. After waiting for half an hour, Zhu Lingling finally lost her patience. I can't wait any longer, I'm too sleepy. Give me another room. Sorry, there are no other rooms available, the receptionist replied. Zhu Lingling was surprised. If there's no presidential suite, other rooms are fine too. Sorry, there are no other rooms available. Are you kidding me? You have 18 floors here, and there are at least 700 to 800 rooms, right? How can there be no rooms? Zhu Lingling was in disbelief. Although there are a lot of rooms, there are a lot of guests staying here because the president held a charity banquet tonight. Tomorrow, there might be rooms available. Tomorrow? Then should I stay at your front desk tonight? Zhu Lingling was annoyed. I'm sorry, Miss Zhu. Why don't you stay with your friend first? The waiter asked kindly. What? Gao Ran immediately said, mine is also a presidential suite. There are 3 bedrooms in it, so it's very convenient. Yes, Miss Zhu. The presidential suites are very large and have good privacy. You can stay in your friend's room. When the electrician finishes the repairs tomorrow, you can come back to stay. Is that okay? Because the receptionist knew that Zhu Lingling was the president's friend, she was very polite to her. Hearing the waiter's words, Zhu Lingling was convinced. Okay, then I'll stay at your place for the night. But I'm warning you, don't do anything stupid. Zhu Lingling still had a lingering fear when she thought about what happened at the hotel last time. Don't worry, I won't do anything even if you beg me. I drank too much last time, okay? Gao Ran said helplessly. Hearing what Gao Ran said, Zhu Lingling was completely relieved. So, in the middle of the night, she wore a bathrobe and went to Gao Ran's room next door. Inside the other presidential suite, Huamin lay on the soft bed and asked Qin Chu with a smile, so, is it really okay for you to be so two-faced? If Lingling finds out that you asked someone to do this on purpose, she'll definitely fight you to the death. Why would she fight me to the death? I'm just helping them. Qin Chu didn't think much of it. Breaking the lights in someone's room and then saying that there were no rooms available was such a lousy excuse. Even Huamin didn't believe it, but Zhu Lingling actually believed it. So, she wasn't good enough. Are you tired? I'll get you a bath. Okay, I want to take a bubble bath. Huamin said coquettishly. Qin Chu nodded and lovingly kissed Huamin's forehead. Then, he got up and went to the bathroom to get the water ready. Huamin lay on the bed and thought about what might happen if Zhu Lingling went to Gao Ran's room. He thought it would be very interesting. After some time, Huamin magically fell asleep. When she woke up, she found herself in a bubble bath. She was surrounded by warm water and sweet rose essential oil. You're awake? Qin Chu's voice suddenly sounded, startling Huamin. Chapter 390. I'm not sleepwalking, am I? How did I get in? I carried you in. Where are my clothes? Huamin asked, dumbfounded. I took them off. So, you're watching me shower? Huamin was on the verge of breaking down. Qin Chu was calmly sitting on a chair in the bathroom, watching his wife shower while watching the stock market on his tablet. I'm not watching, I'm accompanying you in the shower, Qin Chu corrected. Oh my God, is there anyone else as shameless as you? How could you be so rational as to peek at me in the shower? Huamin was so angry that she laughed. We're husband and wife, there's no such thing as peeking. Everything is legal. Qin Chu put down his tablet and said righteously. Okay, then Mr. Qin, can you go out for a second? I'm going to start showering. No. Why not? Because. I want to help you. After speaking, Qin Chu walked over and reached his hand into the bathtub. Ah! Huamin screamed in fear. The two of them played around as they showered, splashing water all over the floor. By the time Qin Chu carried Huamin out of the bathtub, it was already 12:30 p.m. Huamin was wrapped in a towel and scattered on the floor. Under the dim light, her perfect body was extremely seductive. Qin Chu's eyes darkened as he looked at her. Mion. His voice was a little hoarse, but it was fatally seductive. Huamin looked at Qin Chu with deep affection. She knew what she was about to face. Can I? Mr. Qin was afraid that Huamin would be unhappy, so he took the initiative to ask. Huamin nodded shyly, her pale fingertips slid across his lips, all the way down to his neck. Qin Chu swallowed, his Adam's apple visibly moving. He thought, I'm a person with strong willpower. I'm not interested in anything except for Huamin. Huamin is a poison that I can't get rid of for the rest of my life. It eats at my heart and rots my bones. Inside the beige round curtain, two figures were entangled together, and even their breathing had become hurried. Qin Chu was no longer the reckless and impulsive young man he was 7 years ago, and Huamin was no longer an inexperienced girl. They were already mature enough. They were so mature that this was the first time they were infatuated with each other after 7 years. Qin Chu's kiss was very slow and light, as if he was worshipping an extremely sacred object, nibbling away at it bit by bit. The large hand continued to move downward, exploring the area that it had never touched before. Huamin felt her body getting hotter and hotter, and her face getting redder and redder. Even breathing became difficult. One of her legs was wrapped around Qin Chu's broad waist, and one of her hands was wrapped around his neck. Huamin's mind was already wandering between dream and reality. She thought, as a woman, the happiest thing in her life was to give herself to the man she loved the most. Although this was the second time, compared to the ridiculous drunken act 7 years ago, this was the first time. After enough foreplay, Qin Chu finally dared to truly fuse with Huamin. The thing he was most afraid of was hurting her. "Does it hurt?" he asked lovingly. Huamin shook her head. Then, she melted into Qin Chu's endless love. Finally, she turned into specks of starlight and flew up into the clouds. When she woke up again, it was already 8 in the morning the next day. When Huamin woke up, she opened her eyes to see Qin Chu leaning on his head and looking at her. His eyes were filled with endless gentleness. "Did you sleep well?" Qin Chu asked gently. Chapter 391. Very good. Huamin's lips curved upwards, revealing the most refreshing smile of the morning. "Do you want to eat breakfast in the room or in the dining room?" he asked as he held her hand. "Let's go to the dining room, I'll get up and clean up." After speaking, Huamin was about to get up. Suddenly, her expression changed. "What's wrong?" Qin Chu asked anxiously when he realized that something was wrong. "I think that thing came." "What thing?" Qin Chu was confused. "My relative, my period." Huamin looked like she was about to cry. Qin Chu finally realized what was going on. He lifted Huamin's blanket and saw a pool of dark red blood. Qin Chu was completely speechless and didn't know what to say. However, he was really glad that her period came this morning. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had a one-night stand like last night. "Don't move, I'll get someone to bring you some." After comforting Huamin, Qin Chu picked up his phone and made a call. 3 minutes later, the waiter knocked on the door. Qin Chu walked over and opened the door. "President Qin, here are the things you need." Qin Chu nodded and took a handbag. Inside were 5 packs of sanitary pads and a few pairs of brand new underwear. "Go and change." "Okay." Huamin nodded and shyly took the sanitary pads and underwear into the bathroom. Half an hour later she washed up, put on some light makeup, and walked out wearing the evening gown from last night. Qin Chu saw it and shook his head. "Don't wear this, change into that casual outfit." "Why?" Huamin didn't understand. "Wasn't this dress pretty enough?" "It's too thin, you can't catch a cold for the next few days." "Okay." Sure enough, Mr. Qin was very thoughtful. Huamin immediately went into the bathroom and changed into the casual outfit he wore when he arrived. By the time they arrived at the restaurant, it was almost 9 o'clock. When Jiao Ran and Zhu Lingling saw that they were late, they sighed and said, "You two must have been very intense last night. You fought until dawn, right? That's why I woke up so late." Of course, such shameless words must have come from Jiao Ran. Huamin didn't retort as usual. Instead, his face turned red. Zhu Lingling immediately realized that something was wrong. She carefully took Huamin's hand and asked in a low voice, "What happened last night?" "Nothing happened." "That's impossible. Did they consummate their marriage?" Zhu Lingling asked. "Consummate your head. Hurry up and eat." "Stop talking." Huamin became angry and stopped talking nonsense with Zhu Lingling. Jiao Ran, on the other hand, continued to tease Qin Chu. "Mr. Qin, you're still able to get up after last night's battle. Your body is indeed in good shape." Qin Chu slowly replied, "My kidneys have always been in good shape. Unlike you, You still need 6 boxes of all-nourishing pills. Phut, how is that possible? My body is in good shape. I don't need any bullshit pills. Qin Chu, you're really good at slandering me, Gao Ran yelled. Qin Chu looked at him, then looked at Zhu Lingling. Suddenly, he changed the topic. I heard that you two slept in the same room last night. Ahem. Gao Ran coughed violently. Zhu Lingling immediately explained, that's because the light in my room didn't work. The electrician didn't come, and there weren't any other rooms available. That's why. Okay. Don't explain. We believe you. Huamin smiled and patted Zhu Lingling's hand. Ahem, why do I feel like you don't believe me? Zhu Lingling asked pitifully when she saw Huamin's perfunctory expression. Chu, we're going back today. We have some business to take care of, Gao Ran suddenly interrupted. Are you two going to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get married? Huamin asked back. Chapter 392. Goddess Hua, can you not be so scary with your words? How am I supposed to live if I get married to her? Gao Ran glanced at Huamin. Hey, how can you say that? What do you mean you can't live? What's wrong with me? Didn't you take the initiative to invite me to your suite last night? Otherwise, do you think I'd care? I realized that you stinky cop, why do you always act so differently in front of others? Aren't you a hypocrite? Zhu Lingling was obviously angry. I didn't mean that. What I meant was to tell Huamin that we can't compare to them. We still have work to do at the police station, so we can't take too long. We'll leave early. I'll come back again when I'm on holiday. This place is really beautiful, Gao Ran sighed. Okay, I'll get someone to fill up your cars and drive them over. Qin Chu nodded. What about you two? When are you going back? Gao Ran asked. Tomorrow. We'll be home tomorrow night. Okay, we'll meet again when you guys get back. After breakfast, Qin Chu ordered someone to drive Gao Ran's car over. Then, he sent Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling off. To be honest, Huamin was quite reluctant to part with these two clowns, but he had no choice. After all, they had work to do. After they left, Huamin held Qin Chu's hand and asked, where are we going today? We're going deep into the mountains today. Deep into the mountains? Huamin was stunned again. She had no idea what Qin Chu was planning, but Qin Chu's plans always made her eyes light up. Whatever he arranged was what she liked. There was no doubt about that. Qin Chu drove Huamin along the mountain road of the Yunding mountain range for about an hour. The road was getting more and more difficult to drive on. Qin Chu stopped the car, pointed to a medium-sized entrance and said, this is the road up the mountain. The car can't go in. Let's walk in. It looks so eerie. Could there be some ferocious beasts? Huamin felt a little scared. No, don't worry, I'm here. That's right. With you around, the other beasts won't appear because you're the biggest beast. Huamin covered his mouth and laughed. Qin Chu was speechless. Since you're so arrogant, let's see how I'll torture you tonight. Qin Chu reached out his finger and flicked Huamin's head. I'm on my period. Can't you? Huamin said arrogantly. Honey, you seem to have misunderstood something. When I said torture, I meant tickling you. I see. Huamin felt a little awkward. What did you think it was? Qin Chu smirked. I didn't think anything of it. Let's go. Hurry up, don't waste time. Huamin knew he couldn't win against Qin Chu, so he changed the topic. Qin Chu held Huamin's hand and walked along the mountain road. The mountain road was bumpy, but because of the wooden steps, it became a lot more interesting. These steps are so beautiful. They must have cost a lot to make. Huamin lowered his head and sighed. These steps were just completed not long ago. I ordered people to design them. The cost was indeed high because the quality of normal wood wasn't good enough. After a long time, it would rot. It was too dangerous, so I ordered people to use special wood to make them. You ordered people to design them? Why? Huamin didn't understand. Huamian didn't think Qin Chu was the kind of person who would spend a lot of money to build stairs in the deep mountains and forests. There must be a reason, because, you'll know when you see it later. Qin Chu was still mysterious and didn't want to say anything. Ever since we came to Yunding Mountain, you've been acting mysterious with me. Huamin looked at Qin Chu, amused. He didn't know what Qin Chu was up to. Chapter 393. Huamin knew that Qin Chu was being mysterious again. Maybe there were more surprises ahead of them. After walking for about 3 miles, Huamin was stunned by the beautiful scenery in front of her. The path was originally lined with yellow leaves because birch trees would turn golden in autumn. It was very beautiful. However, after walking for 3 miles, the yellow leaves suddenly turned into a deep red. It was as if magic had been cast on it. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Huamin looked at the red leaves around her and felt like she was in a fairy tale. Qin Chu looked up at the trees and said, "These are maple trees. Every autumn, they turn deep red for half a month. It's very beautiful. The hotel staff are local residents, so they told me about it. I thought it was a good idea, so I bought this area and planned to develop it into a red leaves tourist attraction. However, in order to preserve the original ecology of the trees, this place is only open for 15 days a year and only receives 200 tourists per day." Huamin gave him a thumbs up. "Good idea. I'll give you 32 likes. Do you like it?" "I do. It's super beautiful here. I never dreamed that there would be a place like this. If it was rainy, I would be walking on the path in the forest, looking at the red leaves in the rain. Wouldn't that be so romantic?" Qin Chu looked at Huamin's happy face and felt happy from the bottom of his heart. "Honey, when we're old, we can build a wooden mansion here and live in the depths of the red leaves. We can raise a flock of chickens, ducks, geese, and a dog. Then, we can plant some pure green vegetables. It'll be like the gods. We can also have a bunch of babies. That'll be even livelier," Qin Chu added. Huamin immediately rolled her eyes at him. "Do you think I'm a pig? A bunch of babies? It'll be great to have a soccer team. I'll make sure they make it to the World Cup," Qin Chu teased. Huamin couldn't stop laughing. She lowered her head, picked up a red maple leaf, and placed it on her left eye. It was beautiful. Qin Chu couldn't help but take out his phone and snap a picture of this beautiful scene. "Aren't you going to take a few pictures of such a beautiful scenery?" Qin Chu reminded. Huamin shook his head. "There are many beautiful sceneries that can't be captured by a camera. Only by experiencing it and seeing it with your own eyes can you enjoy it the most. Sometimes, the eyes are the best camera. Honey, whatever you say is right." Qin Chu smiled and put his hand back into his pocket. Huamin was probably in a good mood, so he ran a few more steps up the stairs. "Mion, come back. You can't go there." Qin Chu's expression changed slightly as he reminded her. "Why not? Are you keeping a mistress in the depths of the jungle and keeping a mistress in a golden house?" Huamin laughed as he ran. He climbed 2 steps at a time. Qin Chu couldn't stop him and could only follow closely behind. "Keeping a mistress in a golden house? How could you think of something like that? You must be crazy." Qin Chu was helpless and could only follow his wife closely, afraid that an accident would happen. After all, this mountainous area was only recently developed, so it wasn't very safe. Within 5 miles was a shallow mountainous area. Normally, there would only be small squirrels, monkeys, and other small animals. If they walked further in, they might encounter something. Although they didn't hear of tigers or black bears nearby, they still had to be careful. Huamin ran for about a mile without stopping. When she was tired, she stopped and took in big breaths of fresh air. Suddenly, a flowery thing under a small tree to her left caught her attention. It was round. What a cute mushroom. She bent down and reached out to pick it. Qin Chu, who was a few steps behind her, was scared out of his wits. "Mion, don't." Huamion immediately stopped what she was doing. At this moment, the round thing began to unfurl, one circle after another. Then, it stuck out its dark red tongue. "Oh my God, there's a snake." Huamin screamed. It would have been fine if she didn't scream, but her scream startled the little snake. It immediately jumped up and pounced towards Huamin's arm. Chapter 394. In the blink of an eye, Chin Chu flew over and protected Huamin. The little snake bit Chin Chu's arm. Fortunately, it was autumn and the morning was a little chilly. Chin Chu was wearing a light grey long-sleeved casual shirt. The little snake didn't bite his skin directly, so it used less force. Chin Chu used his other hand to carefully pinch the little snake's weak spot. Then, he slowly placed it on the ground and suddenly let go. The little snake seemed to be frightened. It wagged its tail and slithered away into the grass. "You were bitten." "Let me see." Huamin's expression changed drastically. He lifted Chin Chu's sleeve. 2 rows of teeth marks were clearly visible, and blood slowly flowed out. "It's all my fault. You were bitten. Let me squeeze the blood out first. It might hurt a little. Bear with it." After speaking, Huamin pressed down with both hands, and the blood kept flowing out. "Aren't you supposed to help me with the drug?" "That's how it's portrayed on TV, Chin Chu reminded him. "How is that possible? What if this snake is poisonous?" "I'm dead for sure," Huamin said calmly. Chin Chu was speechless. "So, after I die, you plan to run away with the billions in wealth, Lady Chin?" Chin Chu looked at Huamin quietly. "Both of us are doctors. You can fool people. You can fool others, but you can't fool me. This type of snake is called the Songhua snake, also known as the cauliflower snake. It's ferocious and not poisonous. Its main characteristic is that it's huge. Many of them are as thick as the mouth of a bowl, so it's also known as the Songhua python. This type of snake can be found in more than 10 provinces in our country. The one just now was obviously a newborn snake. It's not a big deal. When I was in medical school, I studied this type of snake during my internship during the holidays." Chin Chu was helpless when he heard Huamin speak so frankly. In the end, he could only sigh calmly. "That's why it's not fun to have such a rational wife. I was careless just now. This little fellow was coiled up here. It's round and I didn't see it clearly. I thought it was a small mushroom. But since you know what kind of snake it is, why did you still rush over? It's not like it's poisonous." Huamin took out a bottle of mineral water and washed Chin Chu's wound with heartache. Then, he took out a tissue and gently wiped the wound for him. "I was afraid that it would hurt if I bit you," Chin Chu replied, feeling wronged. Huamin's heart was filled with warmth. Chin Chu couldn't bear to let her suffer even a little bit of pain. He really spoiled her to the extreme. No wonder Jiao Ran and the others often said that they would be tortured to death by Chin Chu, this wife-protecting maniac. After treating the wound, Huamin held Chin Chu's arm and walked down the mountain. "Honey, do you know why people are afraid when they see a snake? Even if they know that it's not real, even if it's just a small snake, they will still be afraid when they see it," Huamin asked seriously. "It's an instinctive reaction," Chin Chu replied casually. Huamin shook his head. "An instinctive reaction is when you see a snake often and get bitten by it. But many people are scared when they see a snake for the first time. This is called genetic influence. It's a problem that occurs during evolution. In the past, I read an article about this from an instructor in the United States. I'm not very interested in this, so I didn't study it," Chin Chu replied slowly. Huamin nodded. "I read that article. Scientists first locked mice in a glasshouse and released white smoke. The mice didn't react. Later on, every time they released white smoke, they would electrocute the mice. Later on, the mice slowly became afraid of white smoke. When the mice gave birth to the 3rd generation of mice, they didn't need to be electrocuted. They would be scared as soon as they released white smoke. This means that when our ancestors evolved from gorillas to humans, they must have been bitten by snakes thousands of times. Isn't this amazing? Indeed. There are too many mysteries in nature. We humans only know the surface." Chin Chu sighed in his heart. However, it was amazing that a small matter like being bitten by a snake could trigger a conversation between the husband and wife about genetics. Therefore, when a genius husband married a genius wife, even their daily lives were enriched. When the two returned to the hotel from the mountain, Chin Chu received a phone call. Then, his expression changed. "What's wrong? We're going back now. Something happened at the company." Chin Chu's expression was serious. Chapter 395. Huamin nodded, knowing that it was an emergency. Otherwise, Qin Chu wouldn't have looked so serious. Qin Chu sped the entire way, reducing a 5-hour trip to 4 hours. When they arrived at Sea City, it was still dark outside. I'm going to the company, you go home and get some rest, Qin Chu said gently. Huamin nodded and got out of the car at the entrance of Imperial Park. Qin Chu drove all the way to GK's headquarters. Dad, why are you looking for me in such a hurry? As soon as Qin Chu walked in, he saw his father sitting in his office chair with a bitter look on his face. Obviously, it wasn't something good. I saw yesterday that the finance department allocated a sum of money for the foundation on Yunding Mountain. It's as high as 50 million yuan, right? 50 million is just the initial estimate, there will be more in the future. Yunding Mountain is located in a mountainous area, and many residents don't have electricity or water. Most of their children can't afford to go to school because even the schools can't support them, and they don't have enough teachers. What does that have to do with you? It's our country's business, and you're an entrepreneur. What you need to do is make money, expand GK's business model, and increase our turnover. Since when did we need to put so much effort into charity? Every year, we'll make a symbolic donation. You don't need to take it so seriously. You're a businessman, not a philanthropist, do you understand? Qin Yumin was furious. It was obvious that his son didn't discuss this with him. 50 million yuan wasn't a lot, but he didn't feel good about using it for charity. Dad, you're so knowledgeable, you should know that money can come back after it's spent. Money is endless, but our lives are limited. Why don't we do something that's within our means? Yunding Mountain is one of the projects I'm focusing on. Once it's fully developed, there'll be an endless stream of money, but we should also benefit the local residents, not bring disaster to them and destroy their homes. We're businessmen, and it's true that we make money, but I don't think there's anything wrong with doing things that benefit the people. Don't try to explain to me. I don't think you would do something like this. Tell me the truth, was this Huamin's idea? She instigated you, didn't she? Only a poor commoner would be willing to do such a thing. Qin Yumin knew that his son and Huamin were together, so he blamed it all on Huamin. Hearing his father blaming Huamin, Qin Chu was very unhappy. Dad, this was my own idea. It has nothing to do with Huamin. Don't try to fool me. Do you think I don't know anything? And you even named it the Mion Foundation? That's ridiculous, son, look at you, is this something an entrepreneur like you should do? Qin Yumin slammed the table angrily. I admit that the fund is named after her, which shows how important she is to me. Qin Chu admitted generously. Nonsense. I've already informed the finance department to withdraw the 50 million. I won't spend it on things that shouldn't be spent. Dad, you can't do this. I'm the CEO, and you're already semi-retired. You shouldn't interfere with me. Qin Chu stared at his father and warned him seriously. Chu, I admit that you're an excellent businessman, and you have a strong ability to make money, but sometimes your methods are still very childish. I can't agree with you. I won't agree with this. That's it. Qin Yumin seemed to have decided on his own idea. He didn't agree with the establishment of the Mion Foundation. Okay, Dad, I'm officially resigning with you now. What did you say? Qin Yumin suddenly turned around and stared at his son angrily. Chapter 396. I'm officially resigning. I don't think the position of GK's president is suitable for me. What are you doing? I'm not doing anything. I'm an adult and have my own thoughts. If you can't let me do things my own way, then I'd rather quit. Do you know what you're giving up? Qin Yumin was furious. I know that GK was built by you and my grandfather. I was just lucky enough to be reincarnated. It's not mine, so I've never thought about taking it for myself. I can leave this place with Huamin and start over in a new place. I'm still young and haven't tried many things. If you can give me this opportunity, I'll be very grateful. Qin Chu's eyes were filled with sincerity when he said this. He wasn't trying to provoke his father, he really did want to. GK's CEO wasn't a position he wanted to be, but he had no choice. It was his family business, and it was a responsibility and responsibility. However, if his father said that he didn't need to take over, then he would be completely free. With his current status as a doctor at Harvard Medical School, he could probably open a hospital and live the rest of his life with Huamin. Therefore, money, fame, and status were not tempting to him at all. You're my only son. Are you worthy of your mother, and I've worked so hard to raise you with these words. Dad, you're not me, so you can't empathize with me. I don't want to say how much I hate you and Mom for certain things, but the truth is, you and Mom made me fall harder than anyone else on the road to adulthood. To this day, I will respect your decisions and opinions. I only have one thing to say: if the foundation doesn't approve, I will resign immediately, and if you deny any of my decisions in the future, I will resign immediately. You. Qin Yumin was furious. What kind of son did he and his wife raise after 20 years? Qin Chu, you disappoint me. Qin Yumin looked at his son and said with deep meaning. To be honest, Dad, you and Mom disappoint me as well, but I don't blame you. You can't give up on Huamin, can you? No matter what I say? Qin Yumin asked one last time. After 3 seconds of hesitation, Qin Chu raised his head and said slowly, Dad, Huamin and I are married. What did you say? Qin Yumin took a few steps back and stared at his son with wide eyes in shock. Qin Chu added, We're officially married. Even though we didn't have a wedding, we've already registered our marriage at the Civil Affairs Bureau. We're legally married, so Huamin is already my wife. How could I give up on the wife that I love the most? Qin Yumin's heart raced when he heard about his son's marriage. He couldn't accept it. He was just trying to convince his son to give up on that unworthy commoner girl. He had a feeling that it was Huamin who influenced Qin Chu's thinking and made him a commoner. He was no longer cold, no longer decisive, and no longer like a ruthless businessman. When did you guys get married? Qin Yumin asked with great difficulty. 4 months ago, not long after I came back to China, Qin Chu replied faintly. Qin Yumin felt his brain buzz. He lost the ability to think for a moment. This blow was too big for him. Chapter 397. Qin Chu thought for a moment and continued, Dad, I'll give you 1 day to think about it. If you respect my decision, then I'll continue to work at GK. If you don't think I'm suitable and impulsive, then I won't come back to work starting tomorrow. Thank you for giving me this chance. Take care of yourself, that's all. Qin Chu turned around and left after he finished speaking. Qin Yumin fell back into his office chair with a look of defeat on his face. Sir, there's an emergency meeting in a bit. Yang anxiously said when he saw that the president was about to leave. It's fine as long as the president is here, Qin Chu said as he left the company. When he got home, Huamin was still cleaning up the house. She wore a cartoon apron and mopped the floor with a mop. It was good that the house was spacious, but cleaning up took a lot of effort. After a long time, she still hadn't finished mopping the first floor. However, she knew that this was her home, so she had something to look forward to. Huamin was at a loss for words as she mopped the floor while humming the theme song from Bonnie Bears. When Qin Chu walked in, she immediately turned around. You're back so early, I thought you'd be working until midnight again. Why are you doing this? Qin Chu strode over and snatched the mop from Huamin's hands. I had nothing to do, and I haven't been home for a few days, so the house is covered in dust. Us medical students are all misophobic, haha, we can't tolerate dirt. You're on your period, so you can't do this. I'll get a part-time worker to come over later, Qin Chu said, his heart aching. Huamin smiled slightly. Please, Mr. Qin, I'm not that pretentious. I'm on my period, not pregnant. This isn't heavy labor, so it won't affect me. That still won't do, be good. Qin Chu grabbed Huamin's hand and sat him down on the sofa. Then, he quietly took off his jacket, picked up the mop, and began mopping. Aya, how can this be done by a man? Put it down. Huamin really felt that Qin Chu was not suitable for this. This is also my home. Why can't I do it? Hurry up and rest. I'll do it. Qin Chu was indeed very efficient. It didn't take long for the downstairs to be cleaned up, and even the blind spots were cleaned up. Finally, after tidying up, He sat on the sofa and hugged Huamin with one hand. He suddenly felt very relaxed. What's wrong? Did something good happen? You're snickering. Huamin didn't understand. Yes. What good news? Can you share it with me? If I quit and stopped being GK's president, would you still like me? Qin Chu teased Huamin on purpose. Of course not. You're not the president anymore. Who would like you? Qin Chu was speechless. To be honest, I have a great plan. If I suddenly quit being GK's president, we'll take our savings and travel around the world for a year. Then, we'll choose a place with the most beautiful scenery and settle down. It doesn't matter if it's a small town, a small village, or a big city. As long as we like it, we'll open a private hospital there. I'll be the doctor, and you'll be the nurse. No, I want to be the director, Huamin interrupted with a smile. Okay, you'll be the director, and I'll be the vice director. Then, we'll live the rest of our lives in peace and happiness. Sounds good, but it's just a thought. You're the only one in your family. If you don't become the president, who will? Is your dad going to sell GK? No. Qin Chu shook his head. Huamin leaned his head on Qin Chu's shoulder and quietly asked, Did you and your dad fight? We didn't fight, but we had a little argument. Qin Chu told her the truth. Was it because of me? Huamin snuggled into Qin Chu's arms and asked. Qin Chu lowered his head and lovingly patted her head. Lady Qin, can you be any smarter? I think it's because of the Mion Fund. Otherwise, they wouldn't have named it after me. It's such a big deal, that's not the problem. Don't worry, Qin Chu comforted her. But, Huamin wanted to say something, but Qin Chu interrupted her. Honey, when will your relative leave? Qin Chu asked eagerly. Chapter 398. Why are you asking this? What do you think? Qin Chu looked at her meaningfully. Why did she feel like Qin Chu's gaze was perverted? It'll take a few more days. Okay, then I won't think about anything for the next few days. Then what are you thinking about? Huamin looked at him, amused. I always hear people talk about running red lights, but I'm not that kind of person. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Qin Chu replied seriously. Running red lights? Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry at how Qin Chu came up with such a dirty idea. During dinner, the two of them went to Arshin's ramen. While they were free, they called for a cleaner to clean up the neighborhood. Huamin didn't expect to see Suyu at Arshin's ramen. After all, with his status, he didn't seem like someone who would come to a small place like this to eat. Inside the ramen restaurant, hey, why are you eating ramen at this crappy place? Is there something wrong with your brain? Lord Su. Wei Liao was someone whose biological clock was reversed. He usually slept during the day and went out at night to have fun. Before he even woke up, Suyu dragged him out to eat and told him that it was a special place. When they arrived, they realized that it was a small ramen restaurant in a small alley behind a high school. What made him speechless was that the ramen cost 2 yuan per bowl. Hurry up and eat, stop talking, Suyu said impatiently. So, Lord Su, don't tell me that the special thing about this place is that the price is special. 2 yuan per bowl? When did you become so tight on money? Is the turnover of your company too tight recently? Come on, tell me, I'll give you some money, Wei Liao teased. Suyu still didn't say anything and quietly ate his ramen. Wei Liao felt like he was a little different today. Just as he was about to continue teasing him, he saw Qin Chu and Huamin walk in. The two of them were holding hands and looked very intimate. Huamian was only wearing a black leather jacket with a white t-shirt underneath, dark blue jeans, and a pair of heels. Her hair was tied up into the most popular bun, making her look very cute, like a nude. Qin Chu was dressed as usual, and his cuffs were adorned with real South African diamonds. Because they didn't want to attract attention, they always drove Huamin's Volkswagen instead of Maybach when they came to small places like this. Hey, look who's here. Wei Liao kept glancing at Suyu. Suyu turned around and froze for a second. Then, he turned back and continued eating his noodles. Huamin saw Suyu as soon as he walked in, but she pretended not to see him, especially when she was with Qin Chu. She also wouldn't take the initiative to greet Suyu. It wasn't like her. Boss, 2 bowls of ramen, Huamin ordered. Okay, please wait a moment. What kind of soda do you want, Mr. Qin? Huamin stood up and walked towards the fridge. Same as you, Qin Chu responded gently. Huamin smiled and took out 2 glass bottles of soda from the fridge. Then, he walked back to the table. I want soda too, you, go get me a bottle, Su Yu said to Wei Liao. Wei Liao imitated Huamin's tone and asked, Lord Su, which one do you want? The same as that table, Su Yu said capriciously. Wei Liao smiled as he stood up and walked towards the fridge. Do you want to go over and say hi? Qin Chu knew that Huamin knew Su Yu. She mentioned it herself. No, I don't know him that well. Huamin shook his head and refused. Qin Chu didn't say anything else. Su Yu finished his ramen in a few bites. Wei Liao stood up and said, let's go. Boss, another bowl. Although Su Yu called out boss, he was indeed looking at Huamin. Phut, you want more? I want to throw up. Lord Su, please forgive me. Wei Liao looked disgusted. From the moment they walked in until now, the 2 of them had eaten about 6 bowls of ramen. Although it was 2 yuan per bowl, he couldn't be greedy. Chapter 399. I'm not full yet, Su Yu said capriciously. Just then, the boss walked out and smiled embarrassedly. Sir, the last 2 bowls of noodles were ordered by the 2 customers. We don't have enough noodles right now. If you want to make more noodles, you'll have to wait for about 20 minutes. Is that okay? No, I can't wait, Su Yu refused immediately. Then, what should we do? The boss looked troubled. Su Yu glanced at Huamin and Qin Chu and said, give me their noodles. I can pay more. 2 yuan for a bowl of noodles, right? I'll give you 200 yuan and I'll eat that bowl of noodles. After speaking, Su Yu capriciously took out his wallet and took out 200 yuan bills. Sir, it's not about the money. They're our regular customers. This is really against the rules. In my place, my words are the rules. Su Yu didn't seem to be convinced. He was arguing with the boss. Qin Chu stood up and said, Boss, give him this bowl of noodles. I can eat with me first. Mr. Qin, how can I accept this? The boss was obviously very grateful to Qin Chu, but he was really embarrassed. It's okay. Qin Chu didn't seem to care. Unexpectedly, before the boss could say anything, Su Yu stood up and said, Mr. Qin, you're so generous. You can even give me the noodles. Can you give me the rest? Qin Chu looked at him coldly. I can only give you the noodles. As for the rest, don't even think about it. Ha! I thought you were generous, but it turns out you're also a stingy person. Su Yu, don't be childish. Finish eating and get out of here. Don't cause trouble here. Huamin couldn't take it anymore. From the moment she walked in, Su Yu had been looking for trouble. Now, he was even mocking Qin Chu. How could she take this lying down? Su Yu glanced at Huamin and opened his mouth, but no words came out. Wei Liao pulled Su Yu's arm. Let's go. We still have something to do later. In the end, Su Yu didn't continue arguing with Qin Chu and left with Wei Liao. Su Yu is that kind of person. Don't lower yourself to his level. When he's childish, he's just like a child. Huamin looked at Qin Chu and said, Yes. Qin Chu nodded and didn't say anything else. It was supposed to be a happy ramen, but because of Su Yu's interference, it was no longer happy. Fortunately, Qin Chu didn't ask much, so Huamin didn't worry too much. The next morning Huamin drove to work. When he arrived at South Side, he saw that the office was filled with thousands of red roses. They covered the entire office. What's going on? Huamin was confused. I don't know. It was delivered this morning. It said that it was for you, the nurse said enviously. Huamin felt that other than Su Yu, no one else would do something so perverted. So, he angrily called the number in his memory. Su Yu was sleeping soundly. Usually, when he was sleeping, no one dared to disturb him. Otherwise, the consequences would be dire. How many times have I told you not to call me in the morning? Do you want to die? Su Yu cursed with his eyes closed. Su Yu, stop sending flowers. You're too perverted. When he heard Huamin's voice, Suyu immediately woke up. He opened his eyes with a hint of surprise. Hey, how did you get my number? Bro, that's not the point. The point is, stop sending flowers, Huamin replied angrily. Chapter 400. What's wrong? You don't like it. Whether I like it or not depends on who gave it to me. Suyu, you're the young master of the Su family. Don't do things that will make you lose fans, okay? I don't know what's wrong with you that you can't let go of me. Anyway, you're causing trouble for my work and my life. Please don't do this. Huamin, I'm giving you flowers because I like to give them to you. Suyu didn't say the words "I like you" out loud in the end. Although he knew that he already liked Huamin, he was still a little embarrassed to confess so directly. You like to give me flowers, so I like to accept them. What's wrong with you? Let me tell you, if you continue being like this, don't blame me for scratching your stupid Lamborghini. You're welcome to scratch me. Suyu smiled even more happily. Pervert. Huamin hung up the phone fiercely. Ever since Qin Chu was no longer obstructed, Suyu's subordinates found a lot of information about Huamin, including information about when he was young. He also found out that Huamin was actually a person with high EQ and IQ. He became famous at a young age. Unfortunately, Qin Chu's romantic relationship caused a family tragedy. In the end, he gave up his bright future. No wonder Huamin's medical skills were so good. It turned out that he was a medical genius, but he was forced to become a nurse in real life. He also found out that Huamin's favorite restaurant when he was in school was Arshin's Ramen. Huamin had a best friend called Zhu Lingling. She was also his only good friend after so many years. Huamin also had a mother who lived in a poor area and ran a small supermarket. Huamin also had a younger brother who studied at a university in the city. He was a family member that Huamin doted on a lot. Huamin liked to wear fresh clothes. He didn't like to wear makeup. He liked to wear his hair in a ponytail or a bun, or let it down. Huamin had an ex-girlfriend who was an ophthalmologist. They had broken up and gotten married. Huamin was the prettiest girl in her high school class, not because of her looks, but because of her magnanimous personality. He realized that the more he knew, the deeper he fell. He was interested in everything about Huamin. Yesterday, when he was at Arshin's Ramen, he ate for so long, but it wasn't because he wanted to savor the taste of the noodles. Instead, he wanted to experience the youth of Huamin, which he had not participated in during those years. I want to walk the path you once walked, the people you once accompanied, the crazy things you once did. Suyu suddenly realized, what the fuck? Since when did I become a sentimental artistic youth? Suyu's stubbornness gave Huamin a headache, and he liked to do some extremely childish things. For example, deliberately tailgating, for example, delivering pig trotters in the middle of the night, for example, a bed of roses early in the morning. He thought it was romantic, but to Huamin, it was impossibly childish. Looking at the roses on the floor, Huamin couldn't take it anymore. You guys, take the flowers out and throw them away. Huh? Don't take them away, that would be a waste. Then distribute them to every department. Tell them that it's a benefit for Southside, Huamin ordered. Before the nurses could say anything, Huamin's phone rang. It was a video call. Hey, Mr. Qin. Because they were going to video call, Huamin closed the door to his office. Are you busy? Not yet, I just got here, so I need to organize a lot of documents. I forgot to make you some sugar water this morning. I'll have you bring it over in a bit. It's okay, I have some in my office too. I'll make one myself. Huamin smiled. Behind you, why are there so many flowers? Qin Chu suddenly noticed that Huamin's office had become a sea of flowers. This is a benefit for Southside, it's going to be distributed to every department in a bit. Do all hospitals give out red roses when they give out benefits? Qin Chu asked with a sharp gaze. Chapter 401. Our director has a weird taste, haha. Huamin smiled awkwardly. Qin Chu didn't ask any more questions because he knew how Huamin felt about Suyu, so he wasn't worried. What time do you get off work today? I don't know yet. I took 3 days off, so there's a lot of work waiting for me. Huamin looked at the pile of documents and felt a headache coming on. If you get off work early, let's have dinner together. Okay. Huamin nodded. Remember to drink brown sugar water, Qin Chu reminded her in a serious tone. I know, Tang Sanzang. Huamin knew that Qin Chu was a man of few words, but why did he become Tang Sanzang when it came to her? He was speechless. After hanging up the video call, the two of them went back to work. In the afternoon, Huamin received a notice from the finance department that the engineering department was going to use the Hua Foundation's money to repair the back garden. Huamin's expression changed immediately. He took off his white lab coat and rushed to the engineering department. The manager of the engineering department, Feng Yiqing, was rumored to be Deputy Director Guo's brother-in-law. He was an arrogant bully. Apparently, he often misused the company's funds. Since the amount wasn't large, Deputy Director Guo turned a blind eye to it. No one else in the hospital dared to report this to President Wu because they were afraid of offending the deputy director. This made him even more arrogant. Director Feng? Huamin knocked on the door. Hey, Huamin, come in. Feng Yiqing was quite enthusiastic when he saw Huamin. Huamin walked in and asked without delay, I just received a call from the finance department. They said that you're going to use 3 million yuan from the Hua Foundation to repair the back garden of our hospital. Is that right? Yes, that's right. It was an emergency, so I didn't have time to tell you. Actually, according to the normal procedure, I should have told you. After all, you're the president of the Hua Foundation, haha. I'm sorry, Director Feng, but I didn't approve the funds. Once the Hua Xiqian Foundation is used, it needs to be signed by me or Mr. Hua Xiqian himself. Didn't the finance department tell you? Ah, yes. You came just in time. You can sign it for me directly, Feng Yiqing said shamelessly. I don't think you understand what I mean. I don't agree with using the Hua Foundation's money to repair the garden, so I can't approve this money. Why? Wasn't the Hua Foundation established to contribute to our hospital? I'm not using it for myself. It's for the sake of our nursing home. Look at the lawn in the back garden. It's been trampled. It definitely needs to be replaced. Also, the pavilion and the arch bridge are so old. If our environment isn't up to standard, we'll be laughed at by the industry. Huamin waved his hand and interrupted Feng Yiqing. I don't think you understand. The Hua Foundation was established by Mr. Hua Xiqian Foundation. It mainly helps the residents who need emergency treatment but can't afford the deposit. It doesn't serve the hospital. Our hospital is a public hospital, so the government will allocate funds to repair it every year. You should ask the deputy director for the money instead of the Hua Foundation. I know, but my brother-in-law is on a business trip. He's not here. Who am I supposed to ask? How about this? You sign it first, and it should be lent to me. When my brother-in-law comes back, he'll transfer it to you. I'm sorry, but I can't do that. That's a separate matter. Also, I don't think repairing the back garden is that urgent. It's nothing compared to human lives. Hey, Xiaohua, that's not right. You're new here, right? I've been working here for almost 7 years. You should know that helping others is helping yourself. It's not good for you to go against me, right? Feng Yiqing began to threaten Huamin when he saw that Huamin refused to sign the papers. Chapter 402. Huamin smiled slightly. I've never heard of that before. Also, it's up to me whether or not I can help you. Since I'm the chairman of the Hua Xiqian Foundation, I have to be responsible for every single cent. How about this? Why don't you go directly to Mr. Hua Xiqian and see if he agrees? If he agrees, then I have no issues with it. Are you purposely giving me a hard time? I don't even know Mr. Hua Xiqian Foundation. Feng Yiqing thought to himself, who was Hua Xiqian? Even his brother-in-law had to treat him with respect. How could Feng Yiqing have any say in this? If that's the case, then please don't give the finance department a hard time, Director Feng. Let's end this here. After speaking, Huamin turned around and left. Feng Yiqing forcefully knocked on the table and cursed, "Bitch, why are you acting so cocky? Aren't you just a bastard from the Hua family? How arrogant. Let's see how I'll deal with you in the future." In the end, Feng Yiqing's plan to use the Hua family foundation didn't work out. He was even scolded by Huamin, so of course he was upset. Huamin, on the other hand, thought that he did the right thing. Although the money belonged to Hua Xiqian, he had the responsibility to decide where the money would go. The money was supposed to be used for official business, but Feng Yiqing was going to use it to repair the garden. What a joke. Head nurse, you did the right thing this time. That Feng Yiqing should be taught a lesson. You don't even know how bad his character is. Not only does he like to embezzle money, but he also takes advantage of us nurses. Whenever he sees which one has a better figure, he'll get stuck and have fat brains. Disgusting. The nurses were extremely happy when they heard that Huamin had taught Feng Yiqing a lesson. I'm just stating the facts. I have to know where the money will go, and I have to make sure that it's used in the right place. Otherwise, what's the point of establishing this foundation? No one can take advantage of it. Huamin was a stubborn person with a twisted personality. Once he set his mind on something, he would stick to his decision. Not even 9 bulls could pull him back, therefore, she did not feel that it was inappropriate to offend the vice principal's brother-in-law. Didn't she also challenge the vice principal during the meeting? If he didn't even care about the vice school head, why would he care about a mere brother-in-law? If she chickened out, would she still be Huamin? For the entire afternoon, Huamin's phone was quiet. Qin Chu did not send a single WeChat message. Huamin always felt that Qin Chu might be angry, because Qin Chu was so smart that he must know the origin of Red Rose. She had lied again. Would Mr. Qin be angry? She thought about it and picked up her phone. She wanted to send a WeChat message to ask, but in the end, she put it down. Huamin felt that she didn't do it either. She didn't want to tell the truth because she didn't want to aggravate the conflict. Was she supposed to tell Qin Chu that Su Yu was the one who wanted to pursue her and sent her flowers? Wouldn't that make Qin Chu even angrier? By the time Huamin got off work, it was already past 6 p.m. She was stuck in a traffic jam and arrived at Imperial Park at 7:20 p.m. Qin Chu was not home yet. Because it was autumn, the house was cold. She turned on the lights, changed into slippers, and sat on the sofa to wait for Qin Chu to come home so they could have dinner together. There was nothing left at home. She took out her phone and was about to order a fruit pizza to eat with Qin Chu. Before she could order, she received a call from Jixin. Jixin. Sis, are you off work? Yeah, I just got home. What's up? Sis. I have something to tell you, but don't get too excited. Jixin's voice sounded a little off, as if he was hesitating. What's wrong? Huamin had a bad feeling. Mom just fainted. She's in the first hospital. What? Huamin panicked. She immediately hung up, put on her clothes, and drove straight to the first hospital. Outside the OR, Huamin saw Jing Jixin's worried face. Jixin, what happened to Mom? Did she slip and fall? No. Jing Jixin shook his head. Then what's going on? Is it Qin Chu? What happened to Qin Chu? Huamin's heart jumped into his throat when he heard that it had something to do with Qin Chu. Chapter 403. Jing Jixin slowly lowered his head. Qin Chu's mother came to our house and said something to Mom. Mom got agitated and got into an argument with her. In the end, Qin Chu's mother's bodyguard pushed her and she slipped. What? Huamin's brows furrowed when he heard this, and his heart sank. Qin Chu's mother again, she was like this 7 years ago, and now she was doing it again. Did she really think that his family was that easy to bully? Jixin, did you see it with your own eyes? Huamin asked again. No, I wasn't at home. Auntie Wu was at our house, she said so. Then, Auntie Wu called me, and I came straight to the hospital from school. Huamin didn't say anything, but his expression was terrible. Sis. Yeah. I think. Mom probably found out about you guys, that's why she's so agitated. Yeah. Huimin tried his best to stay calm. So, what are you going to do next? Jing Jixin's voice wasn't very loud. He didn't want to put pressure on his sister, but he didn't know what to do either. He originally wanted to tell his mother about it slowly, but now, he couldn't hide it anymore. But how did Qin Chu's mother find out? Why did she suddenly go to her house to cause trouble? Did Qin Chu come clean with his parents? At this thought, a wave of anger surged up again. Where's Auntie Wu? Oh, she went over there to get some water. She'll be back soon. Less than a minute after Jing Jixin spoke, Auntie Wu came back. She was wearing a flowery shirt, black pants, and canvas shoes. Auntie Wu. Mion's here. Auntie Wu, what happened? Huimin really wanted to know what happened, so he asked. Auntie Wu's eyes flickered. She didn't know what to say. Auntie Wu, just tell me what you saw. Don't hide it from me, or else I'll feel bad. I don't know what's going on with my mom, and I'm really worried. Mion, are you with that son of the Qin family again? Auntie Wu asked in a serious tone. Huimin remained silent, but it was a tacit agreement. It seems that Lady Qin was right. She suddenly came to your house this afternoon. At that time, I was cross-stitching with your mother. She was very aggressive and said a lot of unpleasant things. She said that she was a vixen and that she would raise a vixen to seduce her son. In short, it was very unpleasant. Your mother didn't believe her and argued with her during the confrontation. Don't you know your mother's character? She was so anxious that she wanted to scratch Lady Qin. Then, a tall bodyguard behind her rushed up and pushed her hard. Your mother fell down. They even said that your mother deliberately faked the accident. After that, they drove away. I saw that your mother fell quite badly, so I immediately sent her to the hospital. She's still in the operating room. I wonder how he is now. After hearing Auntie Wu's words, Huimin's heart felt extremely heavy. The tragedy from 7 years ago seemed to be repeating itself. Because of her relationship with Qin Chu, her family was implicated. Her tears fell uncontrollably. She didn't know what to say. She just wished that she was the one lying in the operating room. Sis, don't be sad. I believe that Mom will be fine. Jing Jixin walked up and wiped his sister's tears with a tissue. Mion, I don't want to scold you, but why couldn't you have dated anyone? Why did you have to go down the same path as before? It's not like you don't know what kind of people the Qin family is. They're a rich family that kills without batting an eyelid. Why are you so stupid? Auntie Wu criticized. Huimin didn't say anything, she just cried. Jing Jixin interrupted, Auntie Wu, it's already happened. We can't change it. You can't blame my sister. She doesn't have the ability to predict the future. If she knew that my mother would be like this, she wouldn't want it to happen. What you're saying will only make her feel worse. You're right, then I won't say anything. Anyways, you're a grown-up now. Think about it. Auntie Wu turned her head away from Huimin. Bro, did I do something wrong again? Huimin looked up at his brother with tears streaming down his face. Chapter 404. Sis, please don't say that. I'm not blaming you, and no one is saying that you're wrong. Don't add more burden to yourself. Let's wait until Mom wakes up, okay? Huimin covered his face and nodded. 2 hours later the door to the OR opened. Who is the patient's family? I am. Huimin walked over. The patient's lumbar spine is injured, and we need to put in 4 steel nails. Are you using domestic ones or imported ones? Is there a difference? Jing Jixin asked, confused. Before the doctor could answer, Huimin immediately said, imported ones. We'll use imported ones, including the medicine. Okay, then go and pay the surgery fee. 100,000 first, we'll add more if it's not enough. Then, the doctor turned around and walked back in. 100,000? That's daylight robbery. Auntie Wu mumbled on the side. Then, she pulled Huimin aside and said, don't listen to the doctors here, domestic and imported drugs are the same, they're just scamming money. It's not the same, Auntie Wu. I worked at the first hospital before, and I know that even if it's the same domestic drug, it will have different effects if it's not made by the same manufacturer. My mom's health is the most important thing right now, we can always make more money. Then, Huamin hurried downstairs to pay the bill. Your sister sure is different now that she's hooked up with a rich man. I was wondering why she didn't like my Liang Liang last time, Auntie Wu said sourly. Auntie Wu, my sister isn't hooking up with a rich man. She just got back together with her ex-boyfriend, and they're very close. If it weren't for my dad's accident, they would have gone abroad together. It's not my sister's fault. Jing Jixin was very protective of his sister. He never wanted anyone to say anything bad about his sister. He always felt that it wasn't easy for his sister to raise him. She gave up so much for this family, and shouldn't have to bear all these ridiculous accusations. After Huamin paid the surgery fee and came back, his phone rang. It was Qin Chu. For some reason, she felt guilty when she saw Qin Chu's name at this sensitive time. So, she subconsciously hung up. Qin Chu called again. She hung up and turned off her phone. Sorry, the number you have dialed is unavailable. Qin Chu was slightly startled when he heard the notification tone. He had just gotten through, but Huamin had hung up on him. Now, she had turned off her phone? Could it be a meeting? Or did his phone run out of battery? He thought doubtfully. When Huamin returned to the operating room, he saw the attending doctor talking to Jing Jixin. What happened? Sis, you came back at the right time. The doctor said that Mom needs a blood transfusion now, but the blood bank is in a state of emergency. It will take too long to transfer the blood. Since both of our immediate relatives are here, we can donate blood for Mom and save a lot of time. Sure, where are we going to draw blood? Huamin asked. The consultation room at the side will do. There will be a professional nurse to collect your blood. Then, Huamin and Jing Jixin went to the clinic on the side. You guys, we want to collect blood for my mother's surgery. You know the criteria for blood donation, right? Pregnant women and those within a year of childbirth are not allowed. Anemia is not allowed. Colds are not allowed. Infectious diseases are not allowed. Recent surgeries are not allowed. Cardiovascular and cerebrovascular diseases are not allowed. High blood pressure and coronary heart disease are not allowed. Recent blood donation records are also not allowed. The nurse on duty said a bunch of things. Jing Jixin suddenly patted his head. I just took cold medicine yesterday, am I okay? No, the nurse said with a straight face. Jixin, go back and watch the door. I'll do it, I meet the criteria. As a medical staff member, Huamin knew the criteria, so he sat down and waited for the nurse to draw his blood. Frustrated, Jing Jixin turned around and walked back to the door of the operating room. Do you know what your blood type is? The nurse asked as she tied a rubber tube around Huamin's arm. I do, I'm AB. Huamin was full of confidence. AB. But my medical record shows that the patient's blood type is B, the nurse said with wide eyes. Huamin's expression changed slightly. That's impossible, take a closer look. Chapter 405. That's right, there's no mistake, it's B. If it was any other blood type, our blood bank would have it. Recently, there have been a lot of patients with B. That's why the blood bank is running low. Huamin retracted her arm, feeling her mind go blank. All these years, she never paid attention to her mother's blood type and always thought that it was AB or a type. Because Huamin's blood type was AB, she was very sure that it was AB. The hospital had done many checkups. As for Hua Zhenghai's blood type, she took a look at his medical record last time at the hospital. Hua Zhenghai's blood type was B. In other words, her mother was either A or AB. Because only a combination of A and B could give birth to a child with AB blood type. A combination of B and B blood type parents could give birth to a child with B blood type or O blood type. They would never give birth to a child with AB blood type. Yours won't do, why don't you call your other relatives, the nurse said to Huamin. She slowly got up and calmly thought about all of this. Was she not Hua Zhenghai's child? Was she Uncle Jing's biological daughter? However, as soon as this thought popped up in her mind, she immediately denied it. That was because she had seen Uncle Jing's blood type on his death report. Uncle Jing's blood type was also B. So, what the hell was her AB blood type? She walked to the door of the operating room in a daze. Sis, you're done with the blood draw already? Does it hurt? Jing Jixin asked. She knew Jixin's blood type very well. Last time, when Jixin was hospitalized in a car accident, she knew that Jixin's blood type was also B. Therefore, she was the only one in the family who was different. If her mother didn't need a blood transfusion this time, she would have thought that her mother's blood type was A or AB, the same blood type as her. Sis. What's wrong? Jing Jixin called out a few more times when he saw his sister spacing out. Yeah. You spaced out. What's wrong? Did you draw blood? No. Huimin shook her head blankly. She had always been calm when things happened and never lost her ability to think. However, this incident hit her so hard that she couldn't think straight. Why? Do you not meet the requirements? Huimin didn't answer Jixin's question. Instead, he snapped back to reality and said, I'm going to the OB/GYN department to talk to my colleagues. I remember some of them are B grade. After speaking, Huimin turned around and left. Hearing that Huimin needed to donate blood, Huang Yu and another colleague, Zhong Xiyun, came over without hesitation. It just so happened that both of them had type B blood, which solved the problem of Huimin's mother needing a blood transfusion. Senior sister, don't you think our hospital is too pretentious? There's no blood in the blood bank. They don't usually prepare more, but at the critical moment, their own family members have to donate blood. Then, they don't pay a single cent less for hospitalization. How black-hearted. If President Wu heard this, he would be the first to fire you, Zhong Xiyun said with a smile. President Wu is here. I definitely can't say anything. I have to flatter him. No matter what Huang Yu and Zhong Xiyun said, Huimin seemed to be absent-minded. Senior sister, what's wrong with you today? You don't seem to be yourself. Huang Yu poked Huimin with her finger. Oh, maybe it's because my mom is cleaning up. I'm too worried and nervous. Don't worry, she'll be fine. God helps the good, Huang Yu comforted. Huimin nodded. After Huang Yu donated blood, she went to the door of the OR. She was happy to see Jing Jixin. Don't worry, Auntie will be fine. Thank you. Jing Jixin nodded. After another hour or so, the door to the OR slowly opened. How is it? Doctor, how's my mom? Huimin and Jing Jixin rushed over. Chapter 406. The patient isn't in any danger. She just needs to recuperate after the surgery. Let's observe her for a while and send her straight to the VIP room. Yang Meirong's face was pale from the surgery. It was heartbreaking to see her like this. There was still anesthesia left, but she showed no signs of waking up. Huimin gave Jing Jixin some money and asked him to take Auntie Wu out for a meal. He would stay here and take care of her. Sis, what do you want to eat? I'll get some takeout for you. Huimin shook her head in exhaustion. I don't want to eat anything, I don't have an appetite. Okay then, I'll come back and take your place. Jing Jixin then took Auntie Wu, who had been busy all day, out for a meal. Huimin held onto Yang Meirong's hand, feeling extremely conflicted. If Yang Meirong wasn't her biological mother, then who was? Or, other than Hua Zhenghai and Jingde, did she have another biological father? Yang Meirong never mentioned it. After her mother woke up, Huimin decided to investigate this matter. After living for 24 years, she couldn't calm down when she suddenly realized that there might be more to her birth than meets the eye. However, regardless of whether Yang Meiyong was her biological mother or not, she still raised her. Seeing her lying on the hospital bed and suffering because of her made her heart ache. Mom, I hope you're safe and get better soon. Huimin looked at the woman on the bed with tears in her eyes. Jing Jixin came back half an hour later. Auntie Wu saw that Yang Meiyong was out of danger, so she went straight home. Sis, I'll take care of Mom. You should get some rest. I'm fine. Go back to sleep. You have school tomorrow. My classes aren't that busy. You still have work to do. You can't handle it alone. Jing Jixin felt bad for his sister and handed her a lunchbox. Here's kanji and pickles. Don't eat too much. Your body can't take it. I don't feel like eating. Jixin, you take care of Mom. I'll go buy some food for my colleagues. After leaving the VIP room, Huamin went out and ordered a lot of food from a restaurant. Huang Yu and Zhong Tsayun each donated 400 cubic centimeters to Yang Meiyong. They were very generous. In Huang Yu's words, she said, "When I drew my blood, I was dazed. Everything went black and I almost fainted. After all, she was a girl. 400 yuan was quite a lot. However, since their relationship was good, it was impossible to give him money. That would be an insult to him." Huamin bought a lot of delicious food and some supplements for his two colleagues. Huamin took the opportunity to chat with the head nurse, Xu Yang, at the entrance of the OB/GYN department. "Head nurse, do you think that a type B father and a type B mother would never have a type AB child? Of course, AB and B can only give birth to AB or an OB. Isn't this something you should have learned in your first year? You're a straight A student. Why are you asking me about such a small matter?" Xu Yang smiled. "Oh, it's nothing. I was just asking." Huamin smiled awkwardly. On the other side, Qin Chu noticed that Huamin didn't pick up his phone. Something was wrong. Huamin rarely turned off his phone. Even if his phone ran out of battery, he would charge it immediately. There were chargers at home, at work, and in his car. Unless something happened to her. The more he thought about it, the more worried Qin Chu became. He decided to drive home. Qin Chu originally planned to go to GK today to hand over his job. After all, he had already resigned from his father. However, after he arrived, he was held up by the shareholders' meeting. A few of the major shareholders were in a bad mood. His father couldn't reach them, and Assistant Yang was busy. Qin Chu had no choice but to step in and calm them down. After a busy day, he wanted to pick up Huamin for dinner. However, he couldn't reach her, so he was very anxious. When he got home, he realized that Huamin wasn't home either. Qin Chu was a bit worried. Just as he was about to call Huamin, he received a call from home. "Young master, come back as soon as possible. Master and Madam got into a big fight. Madam is so angry that she's crying. She even wants to run away from home." After hearing the maid's call, Qin Chu frowned slightly. When it rains, it pours. Chapter 407. Qin Manor. The majestic mansion was brightly lit. As soon as Qin Chu walked in, he saw that the living room was a mess. Qin Yuman was sitting on the sofa, smoking a cigarette without saying a word. His mother stood at the door with a suitcase in her hand, as if she was about to leave. "Mom, what are you doing?" Qin Chu frowned, as if he didn't understand what his parents were doing. Over the years, although his mother was a bit overbearing and unreasonable, she still knew what was important, and what was important was that his father had the final say in major decisions. His mother only made decisions in their daily lives. Qin Chu couldn't figure out what was going on that would cause them to fight like this, even though they had never fought before. "Son, you're back just in time. I don't want to live with your dad anymore, I want a divorce." As soon as Lady Qin saw her son come back, she immediately put on a sad act. She had tears in her eyes and looked extremely wronged. "What's the reason? Your dad said that you wanted to resign and that he approved it, but how could I agree? You two didn't even discuss such a big thing with me. You really don't think of me as a part of this family." "Mom, this is the company's business," Qin Chu defended himself. "What company? Isn't the company our family? Anyways, I told you, you're our only son. You can't leave GK, and you can't leave us. We've already tolerated you moving out, but how could you leave us? I'm guessing that your dad must be up to something. Maybe he has a mistress or an illegitimate child. That's why he's treating us so coldly. Don't slander me." Qin Yuman was so angry that his fingers trembled slightly. He agreed to Qin Chu's resignation only because he was angry. How could he give up on their father-son relationship? "Mom, my dad isn't that kind of person. You've been married to him for so many years, you should know him better than I do. Don't say hurtful things so easily. The person who said it didn't mean it, but it hurt the person who heard it." Qin Chu always thought that his mother was a sharp-tongued person. She was in the right and didn't show mercy. All these years, her father had always been good to her mother. He didn't fuss over small things with her. Now that he was old, his chastity was at stake. He was labeled by his mother as someone who kept a mistress and an illegitimate child. How could a person like his father not take it? That's hard to say. Who doesn't know that he's scheming and shrewd? I won't be fooled by his facade, Lady Qin said seriously. If you want to leave, go ahead. I won't stop you. I've had enough of these years. Qin Yumin waved his hand. He seemed to have lost his temper. All right, son, listen to him. He's finally telling the truth, right? Are you trying to kick me out of the family? All these years, even if I haven't done anything for this family, I've still worked hard. I even gave birth to Chu for the Qin family. Qin Yumin, how can you treat me like this? Don't you have any shame? Lady Qin had no intention of leaving. She pointed at Qin Yumin and yelled at him like a shrew. Mom, stop it, you guys. Chu, look at your dad. Lady Qin didn't seem to let it go. Mom, stop acting. I know the two of you better than you know yourselves. Stop acting in front of me, there are too many flaws. Also, the two of you are doing this because you don't want me to leave the company, right? Okay, I didn't say I had to leave. I can stay as long as my dad doesn't interfere with any of my decisions in the future. You don't have to put on such an act. Your son isn't that stupid. Qin Chu leaned against the door and looked at his parents helplessly as he spoke his mind. Chapter 408. Qin Chu didn't know what to do. His mother's acting was very realistic, but Qin Chu immediately saw through her. After being exposed, the two of them looked a little awkward. Qin Yumin coughed lightly and lowered his head. No one knew what he was thinking. Lady Qin reached out to hold her son's arm and tried to persuade him. Don't worry, your dad won't interfere with you anymore. You can do whatever you want, even if the company goes bankrupt. The money I have in my Swiss bank account is enough for us to live for the rest of our lives. Just, don't be with Huamin anymore. Didn't my dad tell you? Tell you what? Lady Qin was slightly surprised. Huamin and I are married. In fact, we already got our marriage certificate. What? Lady Qin screamed. Qin Yumin didn't tell his wife the news directly. He only tactfully told her that his son was with Huamin. Lady Qin was so angry that she stomped her feet and went to Huamin's mother's place to make a scene. What would happen if she found out that they were married? How could she be so calm? Huamin and I already got our marriage certificate 4 months ago. We've been living together ever since we moved out, Qin Chu said calmly. Lady Qin's expression completely changed. No wonder you're never sad about any woman. You're still with that vixen. Mom, please watch your words. Mion isn't a vixen. She's already your legal daughter-in-law. Phut, I don't recognize her as my daughter-in-law or her vixen mother. It seems like I went too easy on them today. I should have torn down their shitty house and let them live on the streets. What a pair of scheming bitches. Both mother and daughter are evil, Lady Qin cursed, completely disregarding her image as a rich lady. What did you say? Qin Chu heard something and frowned slightly. I went to her house in the slums today and met her mother. That damned woman really didn't know what was good for her and even wanted to scratch me. Fortunately, I had bodyguards with me so I didn't suffer any losses. That stinky woman even pretended to lie on the ground and wanted to scam me. It was so funny. I knew those poor people only knew how to ask for money. Actually, it's easy to get them to ask for money. How much money do they want? Why did they ask their daughter to seduce someone else's son and do such a despicable thing? I knew that girl was a vixen since she was young and I was right. Before Lady Qin could finish her sentence, Qin Chu turned around and left. Hey, son, where are you going? No matter how Lady Qin shouted behind him, Qin Chu didn't turn around. He finally understood why Huamin didn't pick up the phone. Why don't you talk some sense into your son? Did he go find that vixen again? Lady Qin looked at Qin Yumin angrily. I think you went too far this time. No matter what, you shouldn't have gone to her house to cause trouble. If something really happened to that girl's mother, it's not something that money can solve. Don't forget, your son is married to that girl, so you're in-laws with that girl's mother. I don't want to acknowledge that poor in-law. I'll be laughed at if I tell people about it. That woman was so flirtatious when she was young. She sang a few songs, acted in a few dramas, and used her looks to seduce that pervert Hu Zhenghai. What happened in the end? She was toyed with for nothing, didn't she? She got pregnant, didn't give her money, and didn't acknowledge that damned girl's identity. Who in the neighborhood wouldn't laugh at her? If it were me, I wouldn't have the face to live in this world. I'd just kill myself by slamming my head against a big poplar tree. You're always so harsh with your words. Qin Yumin looked at his wife helplessly. Lady Qin wasn't born into a rich family, but she was still a high-ranking official. Qin Chu's grandparents were both leaders of the finance bureau, so they came from wealthy families. 5 years ago, Qin Chu's grandfather passed away from an illness, and his grandmother emigrated to New Zealand with his uncle. Lady Qin was born with a sense of superiority, so she always looked down on poor women with bad reputations. She was biased against young Meiyong, which was why she was so rude to her. Qin Chu sped all the way to Huomin's house. He knocked on the door for a long time, but no one opened it. He called Huomin's phone, but it was still turned off. Who are you looking for? Auntie Wu walked out of her house after dinner and saw someone standing in front of young Meirong's house. No, I just didn't expect her to be so impulsive. I just want to be with you openly. I don't want to be in secret for the rest of my life. What's wrong with being in secret? I'm not afraid, so what are you afraid of? It's better to be in secret than to cause trouble like this, right? Do you know what a stupid thing your mom did? She brought bodyguards to my house to bully my mom. Now she's in surgery and has a lot of nails in her body. She hasn't woken up yet. What about your mom? She's having afternoon tea at home right now, right? Mion. I'll take care of this. Take care of it. How do you want to solve it? Tell me. When Auntie wakes up, I'll apologize to her personally. I'll take all the blame. Qin Chu felt that this whole thing started because of him, so he was willing to take all the blame. You're funny, you're not the one in the wrong, why would you take all the blame? Huomin's lips curled up into a cold smile. The unfamiliar Huomin made Qin Chu feel scared. Mion, listen to me, this is what I think. Qin Chu patiently pulled Huomin aside and tried to explain. To his surprise, Huomin suddenly pushed Qin Chu away, looked into his eyes, and said, Qin Chu, let's get a divorce. What did you say? Qin Chu's body trembled. Chapter 410. I said, let's get a divorce. No way, don't even think about it. Qin Chu immediately denied. From the moment he registered his marriage with Huomin, he had never thought about getting a divorce. I'm not asking for your opinion. Whether you agree or not, I will first separate from you. Then, in half a year, I will apply for a divorce. That's all. After speaking, Huomin stood up and was about to enter the hospital room. Honey. Qin Chu's heart ached as he grabbed onto Huomin's arm. Let go of me. Huomin's voice was sharp and cold. He was completely different from his usual self. Don't follow me in. My mom hasn't woken up yet. She doesn't want to see your face. After speaking, Huomin turned around and entered the hospital room. Qin Chu stood at the door of the hospital room in a daze. He felt a slight pain in his heart. This was the last thing he wanted to face, but it still happened. 7 years ago, Huomin's family suddenly had an accident and she didn't want to go to the US. In the end, she heartlessly broke up with him. He went to the US alone and refused to come home for 7 years. He didn't even come back for his grandfather's funeral. Who would have thought that today, tragedy would repeat itself, and all of these tragedies originated from his arrogant and rude mother? Qin Chu walked out of the hospital with a heavy heart. He deposited a $500,000 deposit at the front desk downstairs. Then, He drove out of the hospital. Where are you? At the police station. Come out for a drink. Now. Gao Ran was confused. Yes, now. Okay, I'll come over as soon as I'm done with this theft case. Wait for me. Then, Gao Ran hurriedly hung up the phone. At night, his mother showed no signs of waking up, so Huamin asked the doctor for advice. The doctor said that her body was weak and that she might have to wait a little longer, but her vitals had stabilized. When Huamin came back, he didn't dare to enter the hospital room. He felt guilty towards his mother. She stood at the corner of the hallway with a cigarette in her hand. This was a Russian brand. It was brown, very thin, and very strong. Huamin was not addicted to smoking, but she liked the smell of cigarettes. It was a little hobby. Therefore, she would often put a pack of cigarettes in her bag. When she was stressed or tired, she would take it out and smell it. There was no need to ignite it, but today was different. She found a lighter, lit a cigarette, and held it between her right index and middle finger. Then, he took a big gulp. Because he didn't smoke, such a sudden movement caused his lungs to be unable to adapt. He started coughing violently. Sis, do you smoke? Jing Jixin looked around before he finally found his sister. Seeing his sister smoking, he immediately snatched the cigarette from her hand, threw it on the ground, and stomped on it a few times. Huamin didn't say anything. His eyes were unfocused. Sis, if you want to cry, just cry. I know you're upset. Jing Jixin looked at his sister with heartache. He also wanted to cry. He knew that his sister was in the most difficult situation. She loved her mother, and she also loved brother Qin Chu. However, she couldn't be both loyal and filial. This was the most difficult choice. 7 years ago, his sister was forced to make a choice. 7 years later, she had to do it again. Normal people wouldn't be able to take this kind of blow. I'm not upset, I'm fine. Huamin's voice was a bit hoarse. Sis, don't blame yourself. Mom's fine, her life isn't in danger. Jing Jixin comforted. Huamin ran her hands through her long hair and smiled weakly. Jixin, do you think your sister is too useless? Why would you say that? Jing Jixin didn't understand what his sister meant. Huamin patted Jing Jixin's shoulder. Go back and watch Mom. I'm going out for a bit. Then, Huamin hurried downstairs. Jing Jixin looked at his sister's back, a bit worried. Qin Manor, who are you looking for? The housekeeper opened the door and saw a young woman. I'm looking for Madam. Huamin smiled slightly. Madam, someone's looking for you. Coming. Lady Qin had been up all night. Just as she took a shower and was about to put on a face mask, she heard someone looking for her. She came out in a bathrobe, and the moment she saw Huamin, her expression changed drastically. Long time no see. Huamin looked at Lady Qin and smiled like a flower. Chapter 4:11. What are you doing here? When Lady Qin saw Huamin, she felt uncomfortable. Although they hadn't seen each other for 7 years, Huamin's face hadn't changed much. Other than the fact that he no longer looked immature, his face was still delicate and pretty, even a little cold. People who didn't know him would think that Huamin was the cold and arrogant type, but in reality, she was even colder than that. She was the type that could not be more arrogant. She acted according to the rules, was casual, and was willful. 7 years ago, Lady Qin strongly objected to her son's relationship with Huamin, and the whole school knew about it. Huamin and she had a few confrontations, so even though they hadn't seen each other for many years, she still couldn't forget Huamin's face. Huamin ignored Lady Qin's words and walked over to sit on the leather sofa in the living room. Then, he slowly leaned against it. I'm curious. I was the one who decided on my relationship with Qin Chu. Why do you keep looking for my mom? Just because she's poor and doesn't have a higher status than you, does she deserve to be bullied? Huamin's voice was cold. H, it's the father's fault for not teaching his son well. You didn't have a father since you were young, so if I didn't look for your mom, who would I look for? Don't tell me I'm looking for you. If you were such a sensible girl, would you? Would he still do something so shameless? As soon as this topic was brought up, Lady Qin became very agitated, and her mouth was full of nasty words. Huamin sneered, "How am I shameless? You seduced my son and you're shameless. You seduced men at such a young age. Aren't you just like your mom?" But seducing men is also a skill. If you hadn't seduced Qin Chu's father, would he have taken the initiative to marry you? Upon hearing this, Lady Qin's expression changed drastically. She pointed at Huamin and yelled, "You little bitch, what nonsense are you talking about? Do you think that we, the noble families, will be the same as you lowly commoners?" Huamin stared at Lady Qin and said word by word, "That's hard to say. Maybe you rich and powerful people like you are doing some despicable and shameless things behind the scenes. You can't even compare to us lowly commoners who are open and above board. This is called rotten on the inside but rotten on the outside. Don't talk nonsense with me. Let me tell you, don't think that the Qin family will accept you just because you and my son are married. Dream on." Huamin shook his head, "No, you're wrong. The truth is, I don't care if the Qin family recognizes me or not. It doesn't matter to me at all. What I care about is that Qin Chu recognizes me, and the law recognizes me. We didn't even get a prenuptial agreement. If I file for divorce now, I'll probably get half of GK's assets. TSK. What a great idea." Upon hearing Huamin's words, Lady Qin's face turned pale. She knew that since her idiot son had already gotten married to Qin Chu, there was no way he would get a prenuptial agreement. In other words, even if they filed for divorce now, they would have to pay Huamin a huge amount of alimony, or at least half of their assets. "See, I knew it. I told you, you don't really love Chu. You're only after our family's money. Now you're finally showing your true colors, aren't you?" Lady Qin accused Huamin of being greedy, and her face turned livid with anger. Huamin replied calmly, "Whether I love Qin Chu or not is my own business. I don't need to prove it to anyone. Whether I'm greedy or not is my own business, and I don't need to explain it to you. You seem to hate me, don't you?" "I hate you. There's no woman in the world that I hate more than you." Lady Qin looked at Huamin with disgust, not hiding her true thoughts at all. "So, since you hate me so much, I have a better idea." Huamin smiled slightly. "What idea? Isn't it just divorcing my son and splitting his assets? We have our own legal team, and we won't let you get what you want." Lady Qin looked at Huamin's smile and had a bad feeling. She felt that this woman wasn't as simple as she seemed. Chapter 412. "No, that's what I thought at first, but I suddenly changed my mind. Since you hate me so much, I won't divorce you. Not only will I not divorce you, but I will also live under your nose for the rest of my life. I won't let you get rid of me for the rest of your life. You can live in pain for the rest of your life. I think that's the best outcome for you." "What did you say?" After Lady Qin heard what Huamin said, her eyes widened in disbelief. She couldn't believe that this seemingly weak and delicate little girl could be so vicious when she said those words. Of course, she thought that Huamin was too vicious. 7 years ago, although they had crossed swords a few times, Huamin had never said such harsh words to her. Even back then, when her stepfather passed away, she never really said anything about Qin Chu's mother. After all, at the time, she felt that she was the one at fault, so she felt deeply guilty and blamed herself. But now, things were different. Lady Qin had gone too far, and she could already feel it. When she was unhappy, she would take it out on her mother. In the end, her mother was so angry that she was hospitalized and had to undergo major surgery. This time, she wasn't going to be soft-hearted, and she wasn't going to hold back with her words. She was going to do whatever she wanted. As expected, Lady Qin was so angry that she wanted to tear Huamin into pieces. "I really didn't expect you to be so vicious at such a young age. How could my son be blinded by you?" Lady Qin felt a chill run down her spine. When she thought about what Huamin just said, goosebumps appeared on her back. If what she said was true, and she had to see her for the rest of her life, then she might as well be dead. "I'm vicious? Oh, no, compared to you, I'm still a little worse. You brought your bodyguards to my house and arrogantly bullied my widowed mother. That's vicious. You think you're using your power to bully others? But I believe in karma and retribution. I will slowly pay you back for what you did to my mother. Please, enjoy it. After speaking, Huamin stood up and walked away. Stop right there, I'm not done yet. Lady Qin was so angry that she lunged forward to grab Huamin's arm. Huamian nimbly dodged, but she slipped and fell to the ground with her back facing the sky. Ah, someone come, call the police. This woman is hitting me. Lady Qin immediately lay on the ground and wailed. Huamian stopped in her tracks and turned around to look at her, her eyes cold. Are you sure you want to call the police? Aren't you afraid that it'll affect your company, your husband and sons of your life? Im's your life's is my life's as long as you send me to jail. And Qin choose what's more, what it is. Qin Chu she. You. Mrs. Qin felt as if there was a heavy weight on her chest that she couldn't release. Maram, what should we do? Should we call the police? Chapter 413. She really came. I didn't lie to you. That woman is outrageous. Lady Qin rambled on. Qin Chu was silent for a long time before he quietly said, Mom, I love her very much. Why are you so useless? Do you know what she said to me? She said she married you and divorced you because she wanted to get a share of your assets. It would be great if that was the case. I have plenty of money. If she loves money, I can give her as much as she wants, as long as she doesn't leave, Qin Chu slowly said. That woman also said that she suddenly decided not to divorce me because she wants to piss me off. She's going to be my enemy for the rest of my life. Tell me, how evil is she? She's so young, but she's already so evil. What did our Qin family do to deserve this? Son, how can you like a woman like her? There are so many women in the world, but you don't want them. Why do you want to go back to the same old woman? Do you want to piss me off? Lady Qin originally wanted to complain to her son about Huamin's evilness, but to her surprise, her son was so disappointing. She said, she's not going to divorce me. Qin Chu's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise, and the tone of his voice changed slightly as he held the phone. Yeah, she's trying to piss me off. Her parents didn't teach her well, she's so uncultured. Son, listen to me, don't be with her anymore. Hurry up and get a divorce. We have a team of lawyers. When the time comes, we'll frame her as having an affair and make her leave with nothing. Lady Qin rambled on. However, Qin Chu wasn't listening to her at all. There was only one key word in his mind. Huamin said she wasn't going to divorce him. No matter what her intentions were, it was a good thing that she wasn't going to divorce him. Qin Chu felt a lot more at ease. Mom, Huamin is your only daughter-in-law. You have to treat her well. After speaking, Qin Chu immediately hung up the phone. What? I have to treat her well? Are you trying to piss me off? Hello? Hello? Lady Qin yelled on the other end of the phone. But the other end hung up. By the time she tried calling back, Qin Chu had already set it so that she couldn't get through. Lady Qin was so angry that she complained to the housekeeper for the whole night. When Qin Yumin returned, she told him what had happened. After hearing this, Qin Yumin said in a serious tone, I think the reason why this matter worsened was because you went to her house and caused trouble first. I heard that her mother was seriously injured. I also think that you went a little overboard. It's not strange that she treated you this way. What are you talking about? Why are you speaking for an outsider? I'm not helping outsiders. I'm just stating facts. Qin Yumin sighed. What are you talking about? The truth is that the little vixen came to show off in front of me. She even said that she would live under my nose for the rest of her life. How shameless. Lady Qin screamed. Calm down, it's not good to calm down. She challenged me like this, but I'm not afraid of her. I want her to regret messing with me. Lady Qin was a hot-tempered woman. After being provoked by Huamin, she immediately became furious. She was determined to fight to the death with Huamin. She didn't even think about what she did wrong. That night, after leaving the Qin manor, Huamin didn't go back to the hospital. Instead, She wandered down the street in a beige windbreaker. The autumn night was very cool. Sometimes, a cold wind would blow. At this moment, she didn't know where she should go. She didn't want to go back to Imperial Park. There was no one in the courtyard either. Her mother and Jixin were both at the hospital. "Sis, where are you?" Jixin called. "Outside." "Sis, our mother is awake." "Come back," Jixin said anxiously. Chapter 4:14. Okay, take care of her for now. After hanging up, Huimin sighed slightly. She was a little scared. She didn't know how to face her mother. She wasn't afraid of being scolded, but she was afraid of her mother's silent complaints. That was scarier than any words. Huimin involuntarily walked to the entrance of Seductive Fox nightclub. The last time she came here, she was here to pick up Zhu Lingling. In the end, a war broke out, and she ended up in court. This time, because she had nowhere else to go, she had walked in by accident. The first floor was a bar. It was more than 500 square meters in size, and the loud music was deafening. "Pretty lady, what would you like to drink?" the waiter asked politely. "A dozen Budweiser, thank you," Huimin said faintly. "Okay, please wait a moment." Not long after, the waiter came up with beer bottles. "Do you want me to open them?" "Open them all." Huimin nodded. "Okay." The waiter opened all 12 bottles of beer for Huimin. She sat at a wooden square table in the southeast corner of the bar. Not far away, in the middle of the stage, was a group of beautiful Russian women pole dancing. Around the dance floor were many men and women dancing to the loud music. Huimin looked at the lively scene and felt even more depressed. She suddenly remembered a song, Leaves by Arsang. There were 2 lines in the song: "Loneliness is a party is the loneliness of a group of people." Perhaps the people here all felt lonely, so they came out to get drunk in the dark. Huimin was drinking a bottle of beer when she suddenly heard a man's voice behind her. "Pretty lady, are you alone?" Huimin turned around to see a middle-aged man in a white shirt and black pants. He looked elegant and had a smile on his face. Huimin glanced at him but didn't respond. Then, she turned back to continue drinking. "Is there something you're unhappy about? Why did you order so much?" The man didn't seem to give up. He walked over and sat down in front of Huimin's table. Huimin still didn't say anything. The man raised his hand and made a sound. The waiter immediately walked over. "Sir, how may I help you?" "A bottle of Jack Denny, 2 fruit platters, and some snacks." "Yes, sir. Please wait a moment." After the waiter left, the man looked at Huimin with interest and said with a smile, "I like beautiful women like you the most." Huimin glanced at him in disgust. "I hate beasts like you who lose girls in nightclubs." "Beast in human clothing? Me?" The man was obviously a little surprised. "Could it be me?" Huimin replied coldly. "Ha ha. That's a good word. It's really apt to describe me." The man smiled as if he did not care. "Sir, here's your drink." After a short while, the waiters came in one after another with wine and fruits, as well as many plates of snacks. "Beauty, shall I treat you to a drink?" In front of Huimin, the man opened the bottle of imported wine, mixed some ice and black tea, and poured 2 glasses. He poured one of the glasses for Huimin. "I like Budweiser." Huimin didn't look at him, and instead looked straight ahead. The man carefully looked at Huimin's side profile. Under the light, he actually thought that this woman was quite interesting. Most of the women in nightclubs dressed too revealing and sexy, so when he saw Huimin, who was wearing a beige windbreaker, jeans, and heels, with her hair in a bun, his eyes lit up. She was dressed casually, but she looked very intellectual. "Beauty, let's get to know each other. Is this my business card?" The man took out a golden business card from his pocket and pushed it over. Pushing it over, Huimin glanced at it casually and smiled. "You're an employee of GK?" Huimin looked at her and finally smiled. "Yes, nice to meet you. Let me introduce myself. I'm Wang Dao, the Deputy Director of GK's IT department." "Nice to meet you." "Oh, Mr. Wang, nice to meet you." I'm the wife of GK's CEO, Mr. Qin Chu, Huamin. The middle-aged man's expression changed upon hearing this, and then he laughed out loud. Beauty, don't joke around. I'm serious. How about, you ask your president? Huamin raised the wine bottle in his hand and smiled mysteriously. Chapter 4:15. Haha, stop fooling around, our president came back to China less than half a year ago. We've been married less than half a year, Huamin replied. But I haven't heard anything about our president being married. He doesn't even have a girlfriend. Wang Dao carefully recalled what he had heard about his big boss. An employee of your level doesn't have that much right to know, does he? Haha. I still don't believe you, your joke is a bit too much. Wang Dao was 100% sure that this woman was bluffing. Although he could tell that this woman was dressed in international luxury clothing, that didn't mean that she was the president's wife. Huamin put down his beer, took out his phone, and slowly said, So, do you want to make a bet? What bet? Wang Dao froze. I'm going to call Qin Chu right now and ask him to fire you immediately. If you receive a notice from GK tomorrow morning, then I'm telling the truth. If you don't, then I'm lying. But you have to think this through, you're betting your entire career on this bet. After all, it wasn't easy for you to get promoted to deputy director at GK, right? Let me do the math, with your current position, your annual salary plus bonuses should be no less than 800,000 yuan a year. Not bad. Wang Dao's heart began to pound upon hearing this woman's words. What if you're messing with me? What if you lose? If I lie, then I'll kowtow to you in front of GK tomorrow morning and call you daddy, okay? No need. The man wasn't an idiot, seeing how confident Huamin was. Although he was skeptical, he didn't dare to bet his entire career on this bet. After all, he worked hard for this position for many years. He wasn't young anymore, he was already 37 years old and finally had a successful career. If he lost everything because of this, wouldn't he cry himself to death? So, in the end, Wang Dao didn't dare to make this bet with Huamin. Beauty, since we're here, let's have a drink and get to know each other. Wang Dao thought a lot. If this woman really was the president's wife, then it was necessary for him to flatter her a little. If he said something nice about her in the future, he might be able to get promoted. Aren't you afraid that your president will fire you for harassing his wife like this? Be smart and leave quickly. Don't make me lose my patience. Otherwise, you'll regret it. Huamin hated being hit on or harassed in bars. She only came here because she was in a bad mood and wanted to have a drink. Therefore, he gave him a very unfriendly warning. Wang Dao didn't dare to break the rules. He nodded. All right then. Goodbye. Take your time. After Wang Dao left, Huamin sent a WeChat message to Zhu Lingling. He wanted to ask her to come out, but there was no reply. Zhu Lingling did not reply, which meant that she was still on the plane. She had known Zhu Lingling for many years, but she still couldn't figure out her schedule. It was always a mess. There was no pattern to it either. At this time, a table of people came over. There were about 12 of them, both men and women. One of them was bald and looked fat. He was wearing a flowery shirt and a thick gold necklace. He was sitting in the middle. He had two beautiful women on his left and right sides. As soon as they sat down, the waiter brought over a lot of drinks and fruit platters. Big brother Yong, there's a nice chick over there. A man with a protruding mouth and monkey-like cheeks pointed at Huamin. The bald man looked over and squinted his eyes for a long time. Go, tell her to come over and have a drink with me. Okay. The man with a protruding mouth and monkey-like cheeks got up and walked over. Hey, beautiful, my big brother wants to have a drink with you. Huamin directly ignored him. Beautiful, my big brother is a famous person. He won't let you drink for free. I'll give you 1,000 yuan tip for a drink, how about that? The man asked with a smile. Huamin finally reacted. She turned her head and looked at the bald man. She said faintly, tell your big brother to come over and have a drink with me. I'll give him 10,000 yuan. How about that? What? The man thought he heard wrong. Chapter 416. Forget it if you didn't hear me clearly. I won't repeat myself. Huamin truly felt that there were a lot of idiots in bars. After one fly left, another group came. How could people drink in peace? This was Seductive Fox, the most high-end bar in the city. If it was a small bar, there would be even more despicable people trying to hit on her. The monkey-faced man glanced at Huamin and asked with a sense of superiority, "Woman, do you know who my brother is? Brother Yong of Jiangbei, do you know him? He's an asshole, do you know him? I've never heard of Brother Yong of Jiangbei, but I do know that there's an infamous stinky tofu in Jiangbei. Is he the owner?" The monkey-faced man was speechless. And what the hell is an asshole? Does he walk in the streets at night? Huamin deliberately blinked her big eyes and asked. The monkey-faced man was speechless. Very well, just you wait. Then, the man returned to his seat and said something to the bald man. The bald man seemed to be in a good mood and kept looking over. Finally, the bald man stood up and walked over with his big belly. He looked to be at least 40 years old. But he was wearing a flowery shirt and jeans. His jeans were almost out of shape and the waistband was about 3 feet and 5 inches long. Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this mix and match. If they were on the streets of England, she really wanted to ask if this uncle was doing some kind of performance art. "Beauty, I heard from my brother that you asked me to drink with you. You're the first person who dared to ask me to drink with you. If you walk by the river often, your shoes will get wet. There's a first time for everything. There's no surprise." Huamin's tone was very calm. She wasn't afraid of the 5 or 6 tattooed bodyguards behind the bald man. It wasn't that Huamin wanted to die, it was because after the incident last time, Qin Chu immediately knew what had happened and even saw the video. He was able to get the video after the Zhu family tampered with it. This could only mean one thing. Qin Chu should be very familiar with the big boss behind this nightclub, so Huamin felt that even if she was alone here, she would still be able to find him. There wouldn't be any danger either. Even if there was danger, there would definitely be someone to save him. That was why she was so confident. Therefore, Huamin was smarter than most people. She knew how to keep herself in a safe zone. He wouldn't do those stupid things that wouldn't lead to death if he didn't seek death. In fact, she had guessed correctly. From the moment she entered the room, a man had been staring at the screen on the top floor of Seductive Fox. "Sir, Miss Hua is here. Keep an eye on her and protect her." As the boss of Seductive Fox, Rick was well aware of the relationship between Huamin and Qin Chu. Thus, when he saw Huamin enter, he didn't dare make any mistakes. Until these Jianghu vagabonds surrounded Huamin. The people behind him were a little nervous. "Sir, do you want us to settle this?" "No rush, let's wait and see." Rick rubbed his chin and looked at the woman on the screen. No wonder she was Qin Chu's woman. She was indeed different. She swaggered in and drank alone. She didn't wear heavy makeup or revealing clothes, but people could still tell that she was different. She was able to shine in a sea of people like this. "Beautiful, I can drink with you, but I, Da Yong, won't do this for free. I need to be paid. You said a glass of wine for 10,000 yuan, right? I don't need money, I have money. I'll drink with you and you'll spend the night with me. How about that?" The bald man smiled lewdly. Huamin sneered. "Spend the night with you? Aren't you afraid that you won't live to see tomorrow morning?" Chapter 417. Bitch, what are you talking about? His lackeys were the first to get angry when they saw their boss get scolded by a woman. "Hey, don't get so worked up. Pretty girls are funny, I like it." Baldy was used to seeing women who tried to curry favor with him, so when he saw Huamin, a young and calm woman, he was stunned and special. Therefore, he wasn't angry at Huamin's words. "Pretty girl, let me put it this way. Today, whether I drink this beer or not, you're not leaving. Why are you arguing with me?" Baldy's blatant threat was met with a smile by Huamin. "I don't want to cause trouble, I just want to drink quietly. Hurry up and leave. If you keep bothering me, I'll be in trouble." "Ha ha ha, you're so cute. I really want to see how I'll be in trouble. Baldy laughed out loud when he heard Huamin's words. Huamin didn't say anything. She slowly picked up a bottle of beer and continued to drink, unhurried and unhurried. Jiang Chengyong, a man called out his name from behind him. Baldy turned around and his expression immediately changed. Young Master Wei, why are you here? Baldy looked at Wei Liao like a dog that saw its owner. Actually, Jiang Chengyong wasn't a real gangster. He was just a slightly more famous local hooligan. He relied on forceful demolitions and threats to make huge profits. His reputation was terrible. He was also very smart. He only dared to bully normal bosses and didn't dare to offend the real rich people in this city. For example, Su Yu and Wei Liao. I was fucking far away when I saw you bullying a girl, Wei Liao cursed. Then, a few people walked over. Behind Wei Liao was none other than Su Yu, who was wearing a khaki jacket. Beside Su Yu was Wei Liao and another young man. The four of them played at Seductive Fox for a few hours and were about to go back to sleep. When he went downstairs, Wei Liao immediately spotted Huamin in the corner. Then, he saw this group of scum harassing Huamin. At that time, Su Yu's eyes turned green. He wanted nothing more than to kill someone. No, just drinking. Baldy's attitude towards Wei Liao was like that of a father. When he saw Su Yu clearly behind him, he almost knelt down and kowtowed 3 times. Su. Lord Su. You're here too? The bald man asked with a trembling voice. Without another word, Su Yu stepped forward and kicked the baldy in the stomach. The kick made the bald man stagger and lie on the ground. It was as funny as a turtle being flipped over. Brother Yong, big bro, the lackeys behind him couldn't stand it anymore and immediately went up to help him up. Don't touch me, let Lord Su continue. Baldy didn't dare to offend Su Yu, so he continued to suck up to him. Su Yu slowly walked up and stepped on Baldy's stomach. Then, he crushed it with all his might, It was obvious that Bald Head was in a lot of pain as he let out some muffled groans. Chapter 4:18. It's none of your business. Huamin turned her head and continued to drink. She told the bald guy that he was in trouble not because she knew that Su Yu was here. It was because she knew that the person behind the bar was about to make a move. She didn't know what the relationship between that person and Qin Chu was, but she knew that the person would definitely protect her. She just didn't expect that Su Yu would step in at such a critical moment. Waiter, give me a dozen of the same beer as hers. Su Yu waved his hand. When the waiter saw that the customer had spoken, he immediately brought the beer over. Su Yu didn't say anything. He opened the beer and drank 1 beer at a time. He drank 6 in a row. Wei Liao and Tang Chuan were so scared that they almost peed their pants. Is Lord Su cheating? Wei Liao was dumbfounded. I think he's overexcited. Tang Chuan was also stunned. Although Su Yu had a high alcohol tolerance because he frequented nightclubs, he didn't see him drink so much. Even if Budweiser was a small bottle, drinking 6 in a row was still very dangerous, okay? What are you doing? After Huamin saw the 6 empty bottles, he finally looked at Su Yu in the eye. I've caught up to you. From now on, I'll drink with you. It's fair. After speaking, he picked up the 7th bottle. Su Yu clinked his bottle with Huamin's and slowly drank. To be honest, when Su Yu drank like he didn't care about his life, Huamin felt that this Tyrannosaurus Rex could be so manly. Are you in a bad mood? Yeah, Huamin replied gloomily. Why? I don't want to talk about it. Su Yu, well, since you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Let's drink. Su Yu continued to pick up the beer. Looks like we won't go home until we're drunk tonight, Wei Liao said in a low voice. But, after drinking too much, isn't that place unable to get hard? Are you sure you want to drink that much? Isn't picking up girls your main purpose? Tang Chuan looked at Su Yu with heartache. Aren't you thinking too much? Wei Liao was shocked by Tang Chuan's words. Although Su Yu was indeed interested in the girl, he would never take her away tonight. There was no way Su Yu would do something so despicable. Su Yu had never drunk alcohol in the bar on the 1st floor. This time, he swaggered down. Just by drinking in a corner, he was already causing a huge commotion. If it weren't for the waiters and security guards of the nightclub, many women would have taken off their clothes to show off. All they wanted was for Lord Su to get close to them. Wei Liao and Tang Chuan were on guard duty for him, so they had enough to worry about. After more than an hour, he finished all 12 bottles of beer. Huamin's cheeks were slightly red because of the alcohol. However, his eyes were still bright and deep, and he didn't look drunk at all. "Your alcohol tolerance is pretty good," Su Yu complimented. "I'm not drinking anymore. It's boring." Huamin stood up. "Waitress, the bill please." "Miss, young Master Su has already paid," the waitress said politely. "How much is the total?" Huamin asked. "The total is 994 yuan. Huamin slowly opened his wallet, took out 500 yuan, and handed it to Su Yu. "What are you doing?" Su Yu slightly furrowed his eyebrows. "We drank a total of 994 yuan worth of beer. If we split the bill, it would be 497 yuan per person, but I don't have any change, so I'll give you 3 extra yuan. Take it." After speaking, Huamin placed the 500 yuan in Su Yu's hand. Then, she turned around and walked away. "Damn girl, stop right there," Su Yu roared. Huamin continued to walk away without looking back. Su Yu quickly chased after her. "This woman is so generous, she even split the bill. Ha 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 ha, she's so damn cute. No wonder Lord Su likes her, I like her too." Tang Chuan laughed like crazy when he saw Huamin's attitude for the first time. Wei Liao pursed his lips and said, "That's why I said she's weird. She's always so weird when something happens." He used to think that Su Yu was ruthless enough, but compared to this woman, he was nothing. She was even more ruthless than Su Yu. She actually gave Su Yu 500 yuan. This was something that had never happened to Su Yu in his 20-something years of life. No wonder he was so angry. "Huamin," Su Yu shouted as he walked out of Seductive Fox. "Yes. Stop right there. If you have something to say, say it." Huamin helplessly stopped walking. Chapter 419. What do you mean by giving me money? It means we'll split the bill. What the hell is split the bill? Su Yu asked with a frown. It means you spend your money, and I'll spend mine. Is there a need to make such a clear distinction? Su Yu was furious. Huamin nodded. There is, because I'm not close enough with you for you to treat me to a drink. I realize that you're really not cute. I never said I was cute. You're so unreasonable, who would like you? Su Yu was furious. I'm just admiring myself, okay? Lord Su. Huamin made a face at Su Yu. Then, she turned around and walked away. Hey, where are you going? I'm going back, it's so late, it's not safe to wander around the streets. I'll give you a ride. No need, Huamin refused right away. Why? You're already so drunk, why are you giving me a ride? Forget it, I don't want to get detained by the traffic police. They'll probably check me for drunk driving, so I'll just take a cab and leave. After speaking, Huamin stopped a cab. Huamin, come back here. After Su Yu came out, he felt a little dizzy from the alcohol. He wanted to grab Huamin, but he felt that his footsteps were too light, and he was walking in an S shape. In the end, he could only watch angrily as the cab left. Lord Su was left standing in the wind with 500 yuan in his hand. What's going on? Where's the girl? Tang Chuan came out and saw Su Yu standing there alone, so he asked in a teasing tone. It's obvious that she's gone, leaving our young Master Su to wallow in melancholy. Tang Chuan walked over and looked down at the 5 RMB notes in Su Yu's hand. Lord Su has a lot of money. I don't care about this little money. Give it to me. I'll go to the dessert shop to drink something and pick up a girl. Before Tang Chuan's hand could touch the money, Su Yu dodged and grabbed the 500 yuan tightly, as if it was something very important. Wei Liao, drive me back. Why don't you open it yourself? Wei Liao rolled his eyes. I drank. Haven't the traffic police been very strict recently? Su Yu got into the front passenger seat of the Lamborghini. Phut. You're afraid of drunk driving? Don't tease me. Master, which traffic police in the city doesn't know you? Who's tired of living and dares to stop you? Wei Liao felt like vomiting blood. But I want to obey the traffic rules today, Su Yu said willfully. Wei Liao was speechless, Tang Chuan was speechless. In the end, Wei Liao couldn't go against Lord Su's orders. He sat in the driver's seat of the Lamborghini and drove Su Yu home. On the way home, Lord Su didn't say anything. He seemed to have a soft spot for the 500 yuan. He glanced at it, then glanced at it. Wei Liao was puzzled. I say, what's different about the 500 yuan? You seem to be very interested. Su Yu didn't say anything. Wei Liao took the opportunity when he wasn't paying attention and snatched it. Hey! Give it back to me. Wei Liao held the steering wheel with one hand and the money with the other. He looked at it carefully but didn't find anything strange. On the back of one of the banknotes, there were 5 blurry words written on it, good for you. Ah! So, you're a believer of a certain wheel? Wei Liao teased. Fuck off. Su Yu immediately snatched the 5 RMB notes back. Wei Liao smiled and didn't say anything else. Actually, he knew that Su Yu wanted the money because it was given to him by Huamin. That's why he cherished it so much. He purposely didn't say anything to tease him. Right now, Lord Su was like a young man who was experiencing his first awakening of love. He was the epitome of a naive sweet boy. On the other hand, Huamin was like a cold CEO in a romance novel. He didn't give a damn about Su Yu at all. Why did it feel like their positions were completely reversed? I say, Lord Su, if you really like the girl, you should continue to pursue her and put in more effort. Haven't you heard of a saying? What saying? Su Yu glanced at Wei Liao and asked. Chapter 420. There are no couples that can't be broken up, only homewreckers that don't work hard. So, you have to be a dedicated homewrecker and break them up, Wei Liao encouraged her. You're the fucking dedicated homewrecker. Stop bullshitting me and focus on driving, don't fucking hit a tree. Su Yu gave Wei Liao a headshotting reminder. Wei Liao chuckled. Huamin drank so much, yet she wasn't drunk. It was quite miraculous. The truth was, she just felt too bitter and didn't want to talk about it. When she got into the taxi and the driver asked her where she wanted to go, she didn't know what to do. Back to Imperial Park? She didn't want to go back to her old house. There was no one home yet. Miss, where are you going? The taxi driver asked. Let's drive around the city first. Huamin was a little sad. The taxi went round and round, and after about an hour, the taxi meter had already jumped to over 300 yuan. Finally, Huamin said, go to the first hospital in the city center. Finally, the car stopped in front of the hospital. Huamin got out of the car and felt a gust of cold wind. She tightened her collar. She had already turned off her phone, so she didn't know how many calls Qin Chu had made. Qin Chu and Gao Ran finished drinking and returned home. They felt bad when they saw the empty house. He called Huamin, but her phone was off. He sent her a WeChat message, but she didn't reply. He felt very, very bad. Finally, he took out a bottle of red wine from the wine cabinet and poured himself another one. Outside the VIP room, Huamin stood outside the door for a long time, not daring to go in. She heard from Jixin that her mom was awake, but she suddenly didn't dare to face her mom. Sis, why are you standing here? Jing Jixin was about to go out and call his sister when he saw Huamin smoking at the door. He snatched the cigarette from Huamin's hand and said, don't smoke. It will increase the risk of lung cancer. It's all right, Huamin replied calmly. Sis, did you drink? Jing Jixin frowned slightly as he smelled the alcohol on his sister's body. Huamin didn't say anything. He leaned his back against the wall of the hospital corridor and sighed slightly. Mom is awake. She's in a good mood. She's not as bad as you think. Although she didn't mention you, I think she still wants to see you. I don't dare. Huamin spoke his mind. I think that even if Mom scolds you, it's just her mouth. She still loves you very much in her heart. You can't face these things sooner or later, can you? Although Jing Jixin was young, his words made a lot of sense. Huamin remained silent. Sis, will you break up with Qin Chu because of this? I haven't decided yet. I don't want the two of you to break up. You've already missed out on 7 years. Don't miss out on another 7 years because of your family. Life isn't long, how many years do you have to squander? Jixin, there are some things that you don't understand. Love isn't enough. We live in this world, and sometimes we can't just live for ourselves. That's too selfish. I know, but I still hope that you won't back down so easily. Don't give up on someone you love because of some difficulties. After all, once you miss out on someone, you won't be able to find them again. You've been thinking about Qin Chu all these years, haven't you? Last time I saw you guys at the movie theater, I saw the sincere smile on your face from afar. I knew that you were happy. You never had that expression on your face when you were with Ning Jiyuan. Huamin lowered his head. It wasn't clear if he was thinking about what Jixin said or if he was thinking about something else. Sis, don't run away from love. Persevere, don't give up so easily. No wonder you don't care about what Mom thinks. But if Mom wants you to marry Shu Liang, would you be willing? In order to please Mom, would you be willing to live with a man you don't love? Life is your own, and only you know if it's hot or cold. Sis, you have such a high IQ and EQ, but why can't you see your own story clearly? Jixin. Anyways, even if things are this bad, I still hope that you can persevere and protect your own happiness. Then, Jing Jixin patted Huamin's shoulder. Stop smoking. If you do it again, I'll cut ties with you. Huamin. I'm going to go buy some supper. Wait for me. After speaking, Jing Jixin walked towards the door. Huamin was crestfallen. Just as he was about to open the door and enter the room, he heard someone call his name. Why are you here? It was really unexpected to see Jiao Ran at the hospital in the middle of the night. Qin Chu was just sent here for gastric bleeding. He's in the ER right now, Jiao Ran said indifferently as he stared at Huamin's face. Upon hearing this, Huamin's eyes filled with fear. Chapter 421. Where is he now? He's in the emergency room downstairs, Jiao Ran said coldly. Huamin didn't have time to think and ran downstairs. Doctor, how is he? Huamin panicked. For the first time, she felt fear in her heart. What if something happened to Qin Chu because of this? How was she going to live the rest of her life? The patient drank too much, causing gastric mucosa damage and massive bleeding. Fortunately, he was sent here in time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. We've already taken measures to inject him with fluids. It seems like he needs to rest for a few days. Also, he needs to be on a liquid diet for the next few days. He needs to be hospitalized for a few weeks, a few attending doctors said to Huamin as they walked out. Huamin was relieved when she heard that everything was fine. Young people these days don't know how to cherish themselves. They drank so much. They were asking for death, the doctors chatted as they walked. Huamin felt terrible. She knew that Qin Chu was never an alcoholic. He never drank too much. Even when he was with important clients, he would only drink 1 glass. But this time, he drank until he had gastric bleeding. It must have something to do with her. She turned off her phone and didn't pick up his calls. She even said such harsh words to him. No wonder he was sad. Huamin followed the nurse and pushed Qin Chu all the way to the VIP room. Looking at his pale face, Huamin felt a dull pain in her heart. She regretted it very much. Why did she say such heartless words? She clearly didn't mean what she said. Qin Chu's mother was extremely annoying, but she couldn't vent her anger on Qin Chu. She was so smart, but she still neglected this point. She neglected her own importance in Qin Chu's heart. And Qin Chu's feelings for her over the past 7 years. Inside the room, Huamin held Qin Chu's hand. His fingers were white and slender, but at this moment, they were cold without any warmth. It made her heart ache to hold them. He looked very good sleeping with his eyes closed. His eyelashes were slightly curled. He was very quiet, like a child. I'm sorry. Hwamion sniffed and almost cried. Just then, Gao Ran pushed the door open and asked, "How is he?" "He's fine. The doctor said he'll be fine after a few days of rest." "Come with me," Gao Ran said coldly. Hwamion got up and tucked Chin Chu in before following Gao Ran out of the room. "Do you know why he's like this, Mom?" Gao Ran asked coldly. Hwamin was silent. "Do you know how much he loves you?" Gao Ran asked again. Hwamin was still silent. "Hwamion, we've known each other for a long time, and I think of you as a good friend, so I'll be frank with you. I know that you and Chin Chu are married, so you shouldn't fight over a little conflict. You're an adult, so don't be impulsive. Some words are like spilled water, and they're hurtful." I've known him for so many years, and he's a strong man with almost no weaknesses. But, 7 years ago, you became his weakness, and you had him under your thumb. I even think that he's obsessed with you, and you hurt him so deeply because of external factors. How can you bear to do that? How could you bear to hurt him like this? Hwamin, I really want to know if you're a heartless woman. Or if you have a heart of stone. This was the first time Gao Ran had spoken so harshly. Hwamin wasn't surprised at all. She listened quietly without any intention of retorting. Seeing that Hwamin was still silent, Gao Ran felt depressed. He pulled out a cigarette from his pocket, lit it, and took a deep puff before asking, "You probably don't know why he didn't contact you after going to the States for 7 years." Upon hearing this, Hwamin raised her head and looked at Gao Ran. She had a feeling that there was something that Gao Ran knew about, but she didn't. Why? She should have known why Chin Chu didn't contact her or come back to the States for 7 years if he loved her so much. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.